slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, coming down like precipitation. I ain't never met a limitation. Hater plotting my elimination. Gotta go to Google for the information. I'm a superstar, so I gotta shine. Top dollar be the bottom line. Bottom feeding niggas out of line. Turn your heart rate to a dotted line. Yeah, my zodiac probably dollar sign. Got the energy to win it, my nigga, I'm feeling great. Got a day with destiny, focusing on my fate. I don't give a fuck what you rapping, you been a fake. I'm everything that they ain't, it can't be, it won't be. Wanna see me fall, I can't go, I won't leave. Coming from the block with plain clothes and police. Straight up to the top with bankrolls and rollies. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? Ayy, 12 can't really stop shit, so I'm still pushing like a mosh pit. Ice dripping, think I'm hot shit. In a yellow bucket with the mop stick. I've been jugging jams like wholesale. Everything must go sell. Hitting bitches with the oh well. Need 100 million on the low scale. On my worst night, I'm the best nigga. Wouldn't mess with you, couldn't cap to him. Homie spotted me like 700, brought 1100 right back to him. If I can't do it, then it ain't real. I just make dollars, I don't make deals. I've been going hard in the paint, still blowing kush clouds till I can't feel like. Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? Ride with me if you ride with me, you can slide with me if you feel like 550 on the 5 sticky, come get high with me, that's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in that wonderful technical the rainbow in between, welcome to tonight's coverage of the Titan Esports Vanquisher League. We're here in the semifinals. The season's almost over, the year's almost over, GG. It's been a long road, but we're getting to the end of it.
Yeah, second to last week here for the Vanquisher League, of course. So we got our semifinals. So these teams have fought through thick and thin. I mean, this is going to be a pretty big ticket match considering both these teams were already seeded quite high coming into the playoffs. So we're going to be having that first seed of Syndicate Reprise versus the fourth seed of Akuma Anti-Tank Weapon. What a mouthful of a name. Got to say that first off. But they both earned their spots here, and it's kind of crazy. But we ended up with the first, second, third, and fourth seeds all sitting in the semifinals. So shout out to the seeding committee. Yeah.
Even without like the potential seeding, like even when you're looking at like the big sports, the esports, you never really see a semifinals that is truly 1, 2, 3, and 4. There's always an upset. There's always something else that changes. But I think another thing that's pretty interesting about this match, we have not managed to catch either of these two teams on stream yet. So this will be a lot of viewers' first introduction to these teams, and one of them is going to lock their ticket to finals after the end of today.
Yeah, well, whoever wins this gets a second time to be streamed. So, let's just say they get to earn their keep here on the stream if they do end up taking it. That's all that matters, obviously, is being on stream.
They're
Definitely
not
not
here to
the
get
title.
the chip. They're not here to get the title. They're not here to have fun. They're here to be on stream and casted by us because that's why teams come to Titan.
Yeah, for sure.
Totally.
100%. But yeah, these are our first times seeing these players. So, if you aren't familiar, we aren't that familiar either. So
I mean, we can look at the results, we can see OPGGs,
yeah.
we can look at the players, but there is a big difference from looking at the stats and looking at like raw numbers versus seeing them play. There's a lot of intangibles that you don't get when you're just looking at, hey, what did these teams draft before? What did they play with before? Like, how did their stats end up? How many like dragons did they get per game? You don't really get to see the intangibles and like how they do it. So I think this is going to be a really good precursor to what we're going to end up seeing in the finals.
Yeah, for sure. And both these teams didn't really struggle too much coming into this one. I mean, 3-1 over for Syndicate, and then Akuma. I assume that's what we'll just be rolling with the whole time, Akuma, since the other Akuma is on the other side of the bracket. They also went 3-0, so they are finals. We could have an Akuma finals. So if you're a fan of Akuma, you're definitely going to be looking for that one. But here we go. We're into draft for game one already, and we're seeing some pretty interesting bans. We see the roaming mid laners already taken off the table. A nice engage AD carry of the Ashe, despite being on the blue side, still banning that away. And Mbessa, one of those strong topside carries that, I mean, if anything, is just going to get stronger next season. And we got Yunara as the final ban here.
Yeah, these are a lot more targeted bans than what we usually see. We've hit the point in the season where players have said, all right, meta doesn't matter as much. We're targeting what each player is good at, what their individual strengths are, but it does mean some of these powerful picks like Orianna are going to get through. Yeah, so Orianna is going to get picked up there, first pick blue side. It's a really strong mid laner without a lot of really weak matchups, and even in the weak matchups, you scale fairly well. But on the other side, it also allows on that red side for two very strong picks, Wukong being one of them. I'm not surprised to see that one grabbed up. I imagine we'll probably match mid laners here, maybe a Syndra, maybe a Taliyah, depending on what kind of flavor they want. We're going to opt for a Kali instead. Flexible between top and mid, but I think we kind of expect that to be up against the Orianna as that usual standard go-to counter matchup.
Yeah, I like the Wukong pick here, denying the Orianna Wukong here, just as a easy response, just to make sure, hey, you don't get that good follow-up engage after the shockwave does come through. We're seeing Udyr get locked in here. We saw it actually, I believe, either last week or the week before, as well as like a fast clearing jungler. It didn't do much in that game in particular, but it definitely has gotten a lot stronger. I think as far as priority goes, this is one of the strongest tank junglers as far as the game is currently concerned. So definitely a good power pick nonetheless. Rakan getting grabbed up as that nice engage, and then Varus, who I think has just been really, really solid with the Chains of Corruption being one of the main sources of engage, especially since you have that Akali in the mid lane. You want a little bit more heavy of a utility AD carry, and no one really wants to play Jhin that much, so Varus is going to be that pick there.
Yeah, but now with the disparity in those bottom lane picks, we are going to see the other opposite sides of the bottom lane matchups band away. Anti-Tank are going to take away Xayah and Sivir, two fairly good matchups versus the Varus and Syndicate. Don't want to let this Akuma team have more engaged options, so I imagine maybe Rel or Nautilus or Alistar will be the bans there, so Leon and Alistar gone. There are still good options, again, that Rel and Nautilus both still up, and they can save counter pick for top lane. I imagine we'll just see Rel grabbed here, because it's just a good combo with the Wukong, and even with the Akali to a certain extent. Yeah.
So it will be Rel. Nice engage. That's the primary engage you're looking for, along with that Varus, of course. And now it comes down to what AD carry you want to pick here. Do you want to pick something to more win lane, or are you going to pick something a little bit more reserved to just answer? And it's going to be that reserved answer of the Jhin. I don't mind it.
Yeah,
but
I don't
you don't have... I do think your damage might be a little bit low, unless this Udyr is guaranteed going the Liandry's build with a lot of burn. So they will be picking up a carry topside of that set as well. So set does very well into Akali, so definitely not going to see Akali flexed here no matter what. And now it's just up to what the counter pick is, and it's going to be the Renekton. I feel like this is risky.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really pick a tank versus the set. We've seen how that matchup goes. It's a very poor matchup for pretty much any tank that isn't named Ornn, and that's also based on the set making a particular mistake. But Renekton is a champion that we've seen top laners in our league struggle with sometimes, because it is a champion that does need to get ahead, does need to kind of snowball a lane to really have a lot of priority. But with the Croc starts to get behind, he's looking less like, threat in the Nile and more like a pair of shoes and a handbag. So we're going to have to see how that actually ends up working out. I imagine we'll see a good amount of jungle influence top lane in that regard.
Yeah, and just Udyr does that better as far as jungle influence. So I expect that to be definitely something that they're going to have to figure out. And Renekton, I think Renekton set, as far as I know, is about 50-50 statistics-wise. Like, it's just a skill matchup. So any jungle attention is really going to flip that one way or the other. And we know how Renekton goes. It's one of those champions that is feast or famine. So curious to see whether it'll get that much, use case here, especially considering it doesn't really have the traditional pairings you're really thinking of when you do lock in this Renekton. So it's mostly looking to just be a very big power point in the top side. Across the map, I mean, we have the Rakan Orianna. That is the reliable engage, the classic wombo combo. Faker Shockwave, find them all, of course. This is a, tried and, tested and always successful kind of composition with the Jhin as well, even as a pairing, just to be able to make sure that your CC lands. But they don't have the best disengage, and stuff like Akali, Wukong, Renekton, if they find a good angle, it is going to be scary in these team fights. And Chains of Corruptions is a non-committal engage you can use to kind of zone out something like a Rakan. So, I think Syndicate could have a rough time here, but they do have their windows. They find the big combos, the damage will come through, and they'll be able to win these fights. But as far as straight-on 5v5s, I'd favor Akuma a little bit. They have good flank angles that they could look for. The Renekton, won't be providing too much, but just the threat of being able to chunk through a set's shield as well is pretty solid nonetheless.
Yeah, I think we're going to have to keep our eye on that Empower W cooldown. I feel, it always makes me feel so old whenever people describe Rakan as like, oh yeah, tried and tested classic support. Because like, to me, Rakan is still new. I know he's, near a decade old now. Near 10 years old,
what, 2018?
I want to say he was 2016, I think.
Oh, no, 2016?
I think he's turning 10 next year.
Because
I think he was released around the same time as Pipe was. I want to say at the very least, but... Yeah,
oh god, middle of 2017. Okay, so somewhere in between of us.
So halfway. But still, this champion's near a decade old, and that makes me just feel so old. Because I remember the good old days when you could instantly R flash W within like 0.25 seconds, cover like 2 screens of length and get an engage. It's terrible and awful when supports do that, but when LeBlanc does it to me and one-shots my AD carry, suddenly it's okay.
Yeah, that one takes more skill, so that's different.
But yeah, for point and click takes a ton of skill. You're so right.
So much skill. Like, you don't understand. It's
really hard to have to press W then R and not press WQ and then R, because if you mess it up, you're still going to do a bazillion damage, but you might not 100% one-shot them.
Yeah, well, the thing is, there was also the rework, so like people were kind of getting back with it. The rework, you had to wait a second Oh my
Yeah,
god.
you had to hold for a moment and not just face roll. And then Riot was like, no, people hate this actually. Let them face roll again.
No, it was too good.
Before I get too salty about assassins, I do think the comps here are actually fairly evenly matched. I do agree with your point that Syndicate doesn't really have a lot of disengage. I think something we are maybe underrating is the set ability to toss one of these backline divers out of the backline. Because, like, it's not the dream Cho'Gath 100 stack ultimate toss it into the enemy backline, one-shot everybody type of combo, but keeping Renekton out of your backline, keeping Wukong even out of your backline, if you catch him mid-dash or before he's ulted, that's a huge disengage tool for your team, and even a huge re-engage tool that your team can potentially take advantage of. So I think a lot of this is actually going to be on Il to manage these cooldowns and watch his marks to make sure that whether it's Akali, Wukong, or Renekton, somebody's staying out of that back.
Yeah, and like that is very true. However, I do think Jhin cannot play this game. You are clicking R from two screens away, and that's your job. That is your job. You click.
Every time I see a Jhin pick, every time I see it, I'm like, well, he's versus tank, so he's not going to do any damage. Oh, but he's not versus tanks this time, but now he's versus backline dive, so he's not going to do any damage. I don't know when you actually pick this champion.
To be fair, I think you pick any AD carry here, and you're getting Goomba stomped. Like that is just your role.
Grab Ezreal. You play super far back and with mobility.
Ezreal, is always been that kind of safe AD carry, but I think Ezreal would be terrible this game.
Certainly
so
not
it's kind of rough.
No, this is where you pull out the classic and you play like a Bruiser bottom lane. Pick like a Darius.
No, you pick a mage. Oh god.
Yeah, look, we are in a pause right now. We're waiting for that pause to clear. We have a chance to actually discuss some of the new changes that are coming next year. The role quests, the things that like support and junglers already do, now will be added to all of this, the extra lanes. Top laners going to level 20 is horrifying. Base stat total is such an insane thing in this game.
That is scary. But I was looking at it. I don't care about the level 20. It's the fact they get like a level worth of experience in the mid game. That is disgusting. Like your top laner pulls up level 16 and you're like a level 12 80 carry. You're like,
you popped. You're one shot. Think about how valuable just like getting to that full stack Rod of Ages is, not only for the stats it gives, but then just the stats. Then you get an extra level on top of it, which is really, really good. Top laners are getting that for free.
I mean,
top laner with a Rod of Ages, mages are going to be invading every role, I fear. Bottom lane for extra gold and 6 items, mid lane for their upgraded boots, top lane for the extra XP. Ugh, scary stuff.
I mean, we'll see it. We'll see how it pans out. I think, honestly, bruisers are going to be so strong, it's going to be hard for a mage to play, because that's always been the hard thing, is that bruisers kind of destroy mages. So I could see the world where we live in, where it's bruisers in top and mid. To be honest,
I can see a world where ADCs, we might get another meta of no AD carries. It might be mages in the bottom lane, roaming
bruiser.
engaged supports, and then bruiser solo lanes. Maybe with a carry jungler, like maybe Kindred starts making a comeback since jungle's going to get increased XP and gold from the jungle camps. Carry junglers are probably going to be really good again just because of those changes. Like Karthus is probably going to be really good. We'll have a lot of chances to talk about this, not only with this game, but also coming into the next year. We'll have a lot more details on the changes. But for now, semifinals, game 1, Akuma anti-tank versus Syndicate Reprise. We're on the Rift. We're ready to go.
Yeah, and already, shout out to the Udyr skin there from Chill Savior. The best Udyr skin, not so Udyr. That is the best one. Definitely not
Udyr. Absolutely goated. I'm still a big fan of the Spirit Guard. I used to play it back when it was, the visual update for Udyr, when you had to pay money for the visual update. Good times.
Like Super Galaxy Rumble?
Yeah, which
have
is
to play that
still a thing. I don't know how Rumble has not gotten a visual update. That poor guy.
It's because Rumble in the Jungle is funny about how bad it looks.
Rumble and Shyvana and Nocturne.
Well, Shyvana's coming.
Yeah, Shyvana's coming with the Demacia season, thank goodness. Shyvana still needs it. Rumble and Nocturne still do. The champion that people forget about, Brand really does. I'm tired of seeing this champion. I don't want to see Brand anymore.
I mean, if we're talking like Wild Rift type stuff, Malphite. He looks so cool in Wild Rift.
Yeah, sir.
And then he just looks terrible here. But either way, we'll get back to the game here. Pretty traditional lane assignments here. with as far as where the prio is going to be expected. I think, yeah, this brawl in the top side makes a lot of sense. I think
Facebreaker
this
level
is
1 with the grass. This is actually just hard-winning for Set. Nicole Meek there is going to get a lot of health back, but the Set health regen, I think, is going to have him winning it out in the end.
yeah, we'll have to see how long it goes before they trade again. Flush going for some trading on the bot side. Traditional, just have your engaged supports use their abilities level 1. Try and bait out some abilities if possible. So far, so good. In the jungle, we got a clear to bot side, surprisingly, for the Udyr. So we'll see if that ends up coming true. And then the Wukong path in towards the top side to potentially try and match a gank. But, since Udyr's on the other side, I don't know what's going to happen, to be honest, in 3 minutes.
Yeah, there are wards on each of their aftercamps. I don't know if the blue side ward is going to despawn before the Raptor camp is started. I think they should have the timer on it, so both junglers will be spotted doing those first camps, in the very least crossing over, so the Aftermoon will be fully aware that there is no real counter gank opportunity here. And it's just a matter of what do you do now with that information.
Yeah, Dwami Bobby, I think, just took way too long of a trade against Set. He gets a lot of value just off of his 2-hit passive, just constantly proccing, so has the health lead here, and it's just gonna be able to get a free recall. Gonna get interrupted, but gotta be careful here on your HP.
Almost finishing off Dwami. Pafo does really want to finish this recall. I'm a little surprised that they're pressing the recall button so early in this lane. I feel like you, especially as Set, not only with the 2-hit passive, but the regen passive, can just kind of stay in lane forever, and you don't really have to feel threatened by the Renekton, but Renekton is one of those champions where you have to be kind of scared, as now Aftermoon making that first presence known in the top side. El Pafo gets the haymaker in, flashes forward, punches him in the face! First blood for the Set!
Oh god, Il Pafo there with the reaction check. Are you locked in game 1, hour 0, And unfortunately for the side of Akuma, not locked in enough. Gets taken down with that nice flash W from the Set. Just getting a 1-for-1 trade here is not terrible and wasted a bunch of Wukong's time. Udyr did go towards the mid lane, but might think about canceling the Akali recall here. Won't do so, but did get the scuttle on the top side, and Wukong is still here, and that's a post-TP Set.
Yeah, Pafo TP'd up. Aftermoon has the flash, gets the red buff on, and Dwami gets their revenge. In the meantime, bottom side, Kraydog taking a lot of damage. Exhaust down onto Rhino. They're looking for a little bit more damage. Fourth shot eaten by the barrier. Nice shattering strike to get the 2-man stun. Will keep the 80 carry safe, but that's a huge loss for the top lane. El Pafo, with what was a commanding lead, now is in a lot of trouble.
Yeah. Blush should be able to get a free recall here, so not too bad. Rhino will have a bit of a delayed tempo here, considering this is a cannon wave on the bot side, so good on the bot lane here of Syndicate to just establish that early lead. You asked what you pick Jhin for. It's pretty much this. You do win lane. That is a fact of Jhin. So it is working out so far, especially since Rakan has that extra sustain that Rel just does not have access to.
Yeah, I think the Gleaming Quill, the extra bit of healing that you get in lane, especially the fact that it scales with level and you don't have to put points into it, is really probably the most underrated part of Rakan's kit. You just get kind of free good healing. Nice little trade there by Dwami to get away from that face breaker. Doesn't end up getting stunned, doesn't end up taking the true damage. That's kind of how Renekton is going to end up winning these trades. You get good Koldameeks, you stay out of range of that haymaker, and you just keep set around that half HP mark so you can look for a burst combo later on in trades.
Yeah, there you go. Gets it there. I'm a little surprised to see the itemization here for Set. I usually just expect you to just rush tabbies or I guess steel caps in every matchup against Renekton, but I'll hold that thought. Chill Savior
in a bit of trouble here. The burst comes through. Aftermoon and 1, 2, 3 Cool getting doing plenty of damage, but the double W from Chill Savior is just gonna have him walk out. Udyr goes where he pleases, much like another champion we know, and he just manages to stay alive.
Yeah. And also Rhino Flash there. So that lane dominance we were seeing earlier from Blush and Panda is going to continue now with no Flash on this immobile carry of that Varus.
Yeah, something that we, I think we have to taking into account with these Akali counter matchups now. You don't have the same Doran Shield second wind full potion regen sustain through laning phase that you could do previously with the nerfs that came through to those items. I think this counter matchup is a lot more difficult for the Akali nowadays.
Yeah, is on that refill pot and a Dark Seal, so definitely respecting the matchup. Has the refill, has the D shield. This is I need to survive this lane. Um, 101 right there, so not the worst here. We do have on the bot side Chill Savior coming in for the gank. You know, Varus did have to burn Flash, but nice ward here from Kraydog's gonna keep him safe. Place the control ward, and they're gonna turn their attention towards that dragon using that lane prowl on both mid and bot here. So getting a lot of value out of these
We are
particular
starting to see
matchups.
collapse. Afternoon and 1, 2, 3 are on the way. I don't know if they're going to be able to get anything done, as the dragon's just taken a little too quickly. So that will be Syndicate picking up that first dragon. I still worry about this top lane matchup. You see Dwami has opted for that first item, Steel Cap's Rush. I think that's probably the correct choice, just given how much of Set's damage is auto attack based.
Yeah, both of these
If it's-
champions. I feel
Yeah.
like both of these champions. If I'm playing top, I'm Steel Caps Rush every game. Doesn't matter what champion I'm playing, but you know that is the decision tree we're seeing here, and it's looking okay here for Dwami Poppy, but did have the extra support of that jungler.
Panda takes a decent chunk there from the piercing arrow, but Kraydog is going to eat a decent bit back, and there's that Gleaming Quill regen, and Rhino just not putting out enough poke currently to be able to actually out-damage the sustain, or even out-mana drain Panda right now.
Yeah, another refill pot on the. I mean, I'm seeing refill pots across the rift. Everyone is a fan of this item nowadays with the nerfs to you know, no one's running biscuits anymore, so the extra
Thank
regen
goodness
actually
for that.
definitely is something that they desire. So you're seeing a lot of index into that item here. Dwami Puppy is gonna see that they're going for these grubs. Wukong is collapsing
This
here.
one taken, unstoppable by Udyr, but Aftermoon does still have that cycle, and Ilpapa potentially in trouble. Nice little eat of the shield, and Dwami Poppy just gonna eat Ilpapa for breakfast. Now Chill Savior getting escorted out by Tango. Aftermoon still wants to keep the chase down, but they don't have the damage to get through that Iron Mantle. So Chill Savior will walk out with one grub, but lost his top laner in the process.
Yeah, one grub, not as valuable as it used to be. So at least we'll get something on the board, but definitely not what they were looking for in particular. I think the shockwave being burned was a big factor there in them being able to actually go for that fight and not really be punished that hard. So a good win across the map here for Akuma. And yeah, nothing too crazy. Just going for an engage here. Kraydog taking some poke.
Panda looks for a little something there, but Kraydog a little too tanky on the rail currently. I like seeing the ward battles that supports end up going through pretty often. Just seeing how much priority they put on control of their closest side brush to the tower. As you can see, both of these supports, especially Kraydog, even having a ward on that back brush there, making sure that Chill Savior doesn't get to walk into the lane for free. But Panda, again, placing that aggressive ward and just making sure that they have control of the lane and keeping their eyes on anything that either the enemy support or jungler might end up doing. I think it's an interesting battle that doesn't go often seen. As speaking of battles, Kraydog now the one in trouble. Crash down forced out. Chains of Corruption used by Rhino, but no mana to follow up, so not going to end up getting a ton of damage afterwards, just used as the disengage tool.
Yeah, Rel clearing out, doesn't want to get ulted here. Dwami Poppy wants this fight.
Showstopper's out. Dwami Poppy taking a lot of damage from the minions. Good Cole Lamik, though, will get a chunk of health back. Patho does use the Haymaker just to say, hey, a little tickle on the back for you. Base damage on that ability, not great, but when you scale it up, that's what it hurts.
Yeah. Now we're seeing the junglers encounter on this bottom side river. They are going for a little bit of a skirmish. They want this scuttle real bad. Ilpafo, though.
Yeah, Ilpafo is in a lot of trouble. He's going to flash out, gets the Haymaker shield on, but Dwami with the Dominus flashes forward, eats him alive, and this Crocodile is looking like a ruthless predator in this game.
Yeah, it's just completely off the ground now. The Tiamat is bought for the set, so should have an easier time pushing out these waves in the face of this powerful Croc. But yeah, this is not the set performance you're probably looking for, but did get counterpicked nonetheless.
Yeah, this is the concern of picking the Renekton. If you are behind, you're not going to be a lot of use, but this is why the teams pick it. If you get ahead in the lane, you can really snowball things out of control, and we even saw Dwami got first blood. It needed the jungler's assistance to make the lane even, but ever since that point, with one more visit from the jungler, Aftermoon staying up top after that first TP was burned, Ilpafo has just been on a downward spiral ever since, and at some point you gotta say, hey, maybe we just don't take the trades anymore. Maybe we look to just like farm a Gromp or two, look to get some wards in the jungle, make a roam happen. Something else has got to change here, because if you keep taking the straight 1v1, the Renekton's only going to get stronger.
I'll take it from my TCG brethren. Face is the place, of course, in top lane. So we will definitely be smashing in on that for the most part. We do see some armor finally bought here for Ilbafo, recognizing the position that he's currently in. We are seeing some wards here towards the bot side. Drag is spawning in 15, so they do have to, figure out an angle to actually get in here and get some nice vision across the table. You do have to worry about that Orianna or Khan. This very reliable duo. Makes a lot of sense that they want to establish prio, but so far with Jhin clearing bot wave first, it's going to be just a little bit before they're able to find anything.
Yeah, Rhino, he's going to have to get back, clear out that wave, and then come towards the dragon fight. We are starting to see some big first item finishes. Both the AD carries have their Yomus. Importantly, I think Aftermoon has the full Trinity Force, whereas Chill Savior doesn't have that last item or that first item complete yet. Still waiting to find that Leandries. Alongside Tango in the mid lane here, these item points that are so vital for their particular champions, just not being there yet means this dragon fight's going to be that little bit harder. Chill Savior trying to sneak into bottom lane here. Aftermoon was spotted out, so Chill Savior just playing the counter gank position. But it looks like neither team really wants to be the one to pull the trigger first, so they're just going to walk away.
Yeah, they really wanted that one because Akali happened to get pushed by, using the Shroud for that extra Shuriken toss. But didn't actually, or 5-point strike. Yeah, didn't actually work out there nonetheless. Looking for a little bit more, but did establish lane prio again, so should be able to get here towards this Drake
Dragon's
first.
already down to 3k. If Syndicate is going to go in, it's going to have to be soon. Down to 1.5. Can they get in for the smite? The answer is going to be no. Aftermoon just to box that one down. Grey Dog now in trouble. Curtain Call opened up, but the team there to defend the wall of bodies in front of that fourth shot. Nothing's getting through there.
Yeah, lucky for Syndicate here that Panda was able to dodge away from the Chains of Corruption. That could have been a much different fight had that actually landed, but good dodge away will secure that. And, the cost for this Dragon will be that lane prowl, once again, towards the bot side, their tempo is going to keep up, and I would not be surprised to see a lane swap here, but since Grey Dog's TPing on the bot side with that unsealed spellbook, I assume they'll keep it the same, at least as far as I can tell.
Yeah, another thing that happened during that fight, Dwami ended up just walking down as they didn't have the teleport to get towards the fight. Dwami moved down toward the mid lane and started holding wave there, whereas Ilbafo just went forward and started proxy farming as soon as they saw Dwami off the map and just played a little bit more aggressive, managed to even out this CS somewhat, is only going to be down about 3 after this wave is picked up. It's in a much better spot at the very least, and it bought the set a lot of unstressed time in this top side.
Yeah, and also gave some plates over. The plates had not fallen off at that point, so getting a little bit of payday. They both finished their first item around the same time. No plated steel caps completed for the set, but at the very least, the gold is quite close between the two, and that's kind of what you need to see if you are trying to be that reliable top side. As far as junglers, we are seeing, still opposite sides for these two junglers as far as their tempo. So I could see them going for a dive if Ilbafo goes for another aggressive trade, but I'd have to imagine he's a little bit more reserved at this point.
Yeah, should be playing a little more careful. But now with the Stridebreaker completed, I think has a bit more of an opportunity as Tango, the one in trouble. Nice flash, gets away from the Magnus Storm. The 2-man Shockwave as well will take Cool getting down to half HP. And then Kraydog as well. Nice trade back here from Tango. Losing the flash, but getting something back at the very least.
Yeah, got that phase rush going here. The Rift Herald will be afforded to them since they are strong side on this, but they don't really have a good response anywhere else on the map. So Syndicate just kind of on the back foot here, and now they're looking for something onto Aftermoon, who just...
Yeah, forced to flash. The Cloud Dragon Rift is going to go into the favor of Syndicate. They're going to start running in, and there's no Magnus Storm follow-up. Panda will pick up one. Aftermoon will fall as Chill Savior grabs that last hit. Now Dwami's the one in trouble in the 1v4. How much work can the Renekton do? Showstopper out. It's not enough. Ilbafo picks up his revenge.
Yeah, they find the angle. They don't just let their jungler die. They want the fight nonetheless, just because Akali is still in the area. But with no perfect execution, I don't think there was a world where that's ever a good fight, considering how it started out. So just a little bit of an over-index here for Akuma is going to put them right back where they started. A little bit behind Syndicate, but still on the map nonetheless.
Yeah, worth mentioning, with that Rift Herald grab, they do get the feats for themselves. Which I imagine with Otacon disappearing, are they going to go away? Or
Yeah, feats are going away, so
Okay.
it's just going to be back to first blood gold, first turret gold, stuff like that. So
Oh man, I feel like we haven't had to worry about first blood gold in forever. Like first blood has just been a call out of like, hey, the first kill of the game happened. It's been worth the same amount of gold for pretty much this whole season.
yeah, and they're getting rid of the level 1, shenanigans for the most part. You got to be really be like, I'm sacrificing some tempo here for this to get that first blood gold. So we'll see how that actually pans out, but for the most part, Akuma, that was a pretty big blunder. That gives a lot of room here for Syndicate to just kind of keep farming out, because you're seeing some of the CS numbers across the map. They are ahead slightly, pretty much in every lane besides top, so they can keep that up for the most part now that they have some pressure taken off them. Dragon up in 1 minute on this bot side, so you're seeing the battle, the dance of the supports here. Rhino now shifting towards mid.
As the
proxy.
Going to start. Ilpafo not really proxying, as that top lane turret did go down, but Dwami Poppy just making sure that Ilpafo is forced to stick around and isn't able to just free split push. They are going to have to keep their eyes on where this Croc is going, as he's now deep in enemy territory, and it's just a matter of, do Akuma anti-tank actually want to fight for this dragon? Are they concerned about it at all? It's an individual Cloud Dragon. It's not going to make the hugest difference. It's not even a real soul point, so this might even just be the team saying, hey, we don't have to contest this objective. We don't need to put a lot of resources into it.
Yeah, both top laners, though, here clearing, so I imagine both of them are just going to walk down now, because that was the big wave they need to answer. Renekton walking even further down is going to look to proxy one more at a kind of further tempo.
So Savior gets a little slow onto Kraydog, but not wanting to get caught by the knockup from that crash down. Just walks away. Both these teams are just jockeying for the position. Ilpafo looking for Rhino potentially, but flashes forward actually, finds him. There's the showstopper, kidnaps him into his team, and Rhino is gone. Flush is taken down, and now Dwami Poppy TPing into the middle of the team. Immediately Panda charms him, knocks him up, has to pop that dominance, and immediately gets the heck out of dodge. Aftermoon also on the run, using that Warrior Trickster just to evade. Kraydog taking down the half with that fourth shot, and control of the Dragon Pit is instantly back into Syndicate's hands.
Yeah, Pafo says, you're not respecting this enough. Here for Rhino, so just gets immediately taken down in that one. Dwami Poppy lucky enough to walk away. The CC chain not strong enough to secure that one, and now Tango finding Aftermoon after spawning the Rift Herald.
Shockwave finds two, and there's the knockup. Ilpafo's in the area as well. This should just be a couple of quick kills. Aftermoon immediately taken on by that exhaust, but Cool Kitten will find one in revenge. Kraydog, nice flash away, manages to escape from Ilpafo, so it ends up being just a 1-for-1 at the end of the day, with Rift Herald also taking that topside turret.
Yeah, a lot of gold going towards the side of the Akuma top side, just with a Kali being in the area to catch that wave on that side, and then, this is pretty interesting game state where the bot side is just really strong here for Syndicate, and curious to see if it's going to matter much that the Renekton of all things is the main, very ahead member for Akuma.
Yeah, I think my worry now for Akuma is just a lack of, I want to say consistent crowd control, but now they've found their target, Chill Savior, in a bit of trouble here, greeting for the Gromp, but also is actually playing Udyr, so, he'll just walk out and be totally fine. Never mind, why was I even worried?
CY at sign, the classic
I haven't thought about that in forever. Oh my god, you took me back to like middle school. Jesus.
Just a classic here for the Udyr, able to walk it out, and looking for some fighting in the mid lane, but Rhino lucky enough not to be the one with a mark on him. Panda just being annoying, being pesky, what Rakan does best, of course. So, this is one of those games where Rakan's pretty strong. Varus being in the mobile carry is definitely something you can just exploit. And nice bouncy grenade.
Yeah,
doing a lot of damage.
I have to respect that, especially with the Jhin going for that Youmuu's first item, the lethality on that scaling. Pretty darn good. I'm surprised to see the rapid fire cannon second, but at the same time, we were talking about it in draft. What does Jhin actually do this game? To stand really far away. So of course, what item does he buy? The one that lets him stand even further away.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense there. I mean, he's gonna have more build options next season with of course the longer range. the longer range stuff here. Dwami Poppy trying to bait in Impafo. Your A-Dog is here.
Yeah, Kraydog is used as the exit point, but now Impafo actually just wants to make Kraydog feel the pain. Curtain Call opened up from downtown. First shot misses, but Kraydog seems like they're just going to be the sacrificial lamb. Impafo finds it. Blush not even getting an assist. Poor guy. If you don't hit your shots, that's what happens. And now Otacon, a potential target. SantaCon, we'll call him, as he's got his beard and hat on.
Yeah, farewell. A final goodbye here for Otacon, almost. One more game in Titan,
one more
but
week of Otacon for Titan. It's so weird to think that this objective is just
how
gone.
many throws? So, I mean, I know we got some stats, people. We should really have a stats. How many throws per game?
Average throws per game. Blush in a bit of trouble now. Quilkin, the Shuriken flip caught by the Udyr, but now Chill Savior's the one in trouble. Perfect execution, backflip not even needed. After Rune finds the last hit. Rhino takes a good chunk of damage from that bouncing grenade, but no curtain call means Blush can only watch as his jungler dies.
Yeah, Chill Savior taking one for the team there. Says, I'm protecting Mr. President, and protected Mr. President he did. We'll be down for it.
Impafo doesn't have the showstopper, but is actually just, I think, feeling fine in this trade. As soon as the haymaker's back up, Dwami Poppy is going to feel a bit of hurt, but it doesn't come in time. Ruthless Predator, slice and dice, and down goes the set.
Yeah, had the 2 items there for the set, so just felt comfortable taking that trade fully. But unfortunately, the Croc's burst damage is just enough to get through it all with the Black Cleaver stacked up. So that will be the set going down yet again. 4-2-0 now on the scoreline for Renekton. Dwami Poppy showing why he picked it in that R5 position. This was a blind pick, or not blind pick. This was a response pick, Renekton. Yep. So seeing the value of it, of course, but you know the game is still kind of in Syndicate's favor. They have the ease of engage. They have the kind of easier way to get in, but we haven't really seen Akuma position well in a fight with a good flank, where they can kind of establish a nice line and not get really abused here.
I don't know if you're allowed to stand here. He's gonna get caught by the knockup, but there's not much follow-up. Crash down gets Kraydog out. Chill Savior wants to keep the follow-up happening, but it's not there. In the meantime, Coolkitten TPing onto the backline. Chill Savior potentially in trouble. Caught by the Chains of Corruption. The root's down. The burst comes through, but the redemption keeping Chill Savior alive for just a little bit longer, but it's not long enough. Meanwhile, Coolkitten on the backline has found their target. Impafo gets a massive crash down into the backline. The Haymaker as well. A double kill for the set, but now he's going to fall as Coolkitten is still untouched. Tango doesn't find a good enough shockwave, and Rhino finds the last hit, and Akuma anti-tank continue to throw hands.
There we go. They finally found the angle there. A nice TP flank there from the Akali. Finds Jin on the backside, which gives them enough time where there's not enough damage to actually cut through the Crocodile, plus the Rel's HP bar quick enough. So here we go. This is how it started. Kraydog definitely way too far forward, but actually does bait them into a nice position because they have that TP already coming through from 1-2-3 Coolkitten. It just immediately jumps onto the carries here, finds the Shuriken flip onto Blush. Did get exhausted, so a lot of that damage did come a little bit more delayed than before. Impafo tries to equalize, but you know, if he could get one more auto before and actually just kill immediately onto the Wukong, it could have been a slightly better fight where they maybe could trade Akali over. But the solo lane force of Renekton and Akali definitely showing its worth there. And they're going to get the dragon as a reward.
Started up here at the very least. Syndicate looking like they potentially want to contest, but I don't think the angle's going to be there in time. They're just looking to make sure that Akuma doesn't immediately turn onto the Otacon. So Dragon's now evened back up, gold barely in favor of Akuma. I love that we don't see these teams all season. We haven't had a chance to stream them just yet. The first game we get with them is a bloody bare knuckle back and forth. Tight gold leads the whole way through. A close game one. This is what I love to see.
Yeah, definitely, you know, putting their best foot forward so far. Tango now has to deal with this.
Poppy, dominus pop, Shockwave pulls him in the wrong direction, and now he's potentially in trouble. Potential fight on the bottom side here too, as Ilpafo's looking for Coolkitten, but now Dwami Poppy the one on the run. Kraydog here for support, but so is Panda. Charm, knock up, finds two, but do they have more? After moving down to the backline, Tango the one in trouble. Kraydog is there. They're looking for a little bit more damage. They'll find the Orianna. Chill Savior now on the run. Panda looking to support him, and the turn from Syndicate was just not enough. Akuma punch back harder.
Do you remember what I said about damage problem? It's looking like a damage problem. They just can't get through either this Wukong or this Renekton quick enough for the burst to really matter. You know, one of the main reasons that clip went so viral of Faker finding the shockwave is that they had a Twitch to go with it.
Bam, 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 bam. Pick 'em
So
all.
definitely a very different look here where, you know, they couldn't find enough damage to actually cut through, and the counter engage is brutal here for Akuma with no disengage on the side of Syndicate.
Yeah, if you don't have El Patho in the area to toss somebody out, you don't really have a disengage tool. Everybody's running for the hills, every man for himself, but it's a team game. You can't play that style of composition, and Syndicate are starting to feel the pain of it, because now I feel like they're suddenly losing control of the map. Their grip is slipping, and Akuma Anti-Tank are a team that will really jump on top of these kinds of opportunities. With a comp like this, if you give them an inch, they will begin to take a mile, and you have very few chances to stop.
Yeah, and it's already looking pretty good. I talked about how team fights should just be favored for them. If they can find another big one, I think they should just be in a very much so driving position to just be able to take this one down. They are trying to look for Panda here, but we'll have that W to get out there, so no problems there. Just getting some vision here around the Otacon, but they're really trying to pressure it down. They want this buff. They want this objective off the map before they go and start contesting that Baron on the top side. So, gonna be pushing out, but everyone kind of in this bot side area, and Orianna has the TP to kind of match over. Renekton already walking down though, so very heavily towards this Otacon for sure.
Jumps over the wall, finds Panda, but not going too hard for the support in this particular instance. And yeah, both these teams are just readying for this Otacon. Tango does have the teleport. Chill Savior and Aftermoon are going to spot each other here, but nobody pulls the trigger. The fourth shot, I think, hits Dwami Poppy. I couldn't tell his health bar didn't move. So it looks like he's going to be opting for what looks like the Death Stance third item, and we already mentioned a lack of damage problem. When Renekton picks up a Death Stance, he's actually just going to be unkillable.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be very difficult to actually take him down. They're going to need some anti-heal for the most part, but since there's not really much healing on the other side of the map, they might just have to ignore the Renekton in these fights and pray they burst everyone else. So
yeah, but how on earth do you ignore the Renekton in a game like this when he is so strong, already on 2.5 items? And yeah, El Patho is as well, but it just feels like two different beasts. The level 16 Renekton versus 15 Set. You give Set time on the backline, yeah, he's going to cause problems. Yeah, he's going to maybe pick up a kill. But if you give Renekton time, that's a quadra kill waiting to happen.
yeah, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I think they still want the Otacon though, so I think they're just going to look for a surprise engage somewhere once they do see an opportunity. But Kali's going to clear out this top wave. I imagine one more as well, just to guarantee that you have the time. This long lane in the top side already secured for both these teams, but still, they want to make sure they don't get traded on for the most part on this Baron, so they are still keeping an eye out on that top side objective. If you're Akuma here, do you want to find an engage? I'm not sure. Do you just start up an objective? I don't know if they have the damage to actually just burst through one.
I think they're okay to play the slower game. Jhin is eventually going to fall off. Set is eventually going to have a much harder time. Yeah, Renekton will fall off. Late game Akali is so scary. Varus, once he hits that 4th, 5th item, once he gets that Cyrilda's Grudge, is going to be even scarier in terms of the chunks he'll take out of these team members. I think Akuma's fine to play the later game. I don't think they're feeling too pressured to play a short one. As El Patho now looking for access to the backline, gets the 2-man pullback. Kratos takes a ton of tree damage from that haymaker, but nobody's dead. El Patho now potentially in trouble. Aftermoon looking for potential access onto the backline. El Patho throws him back there. The Shockwave finds 2. They found 1, and El Patho is now alive. Dwami Poppy on the run, has the Dominus Pop, will stay alive. Kratos gets a great engage back, but where's the rest of the team? Where's the follow-up? They're already gone. Aftermoon dives in, but just has to flash right back out again and will get caught down by the rest of the team. Rhino tries to snipe in the backline, but doesn't have enough damage for El Patho, and Syndicate stay alive. Do not fall in the fight, and they're going to look to take Otacon.
Yeah, they find a nice fight angle there. They get Kratos' HP down so low, the counter engage can't really happen from the Rel, and a nice 3-man shockwave from the, El Patho kind of tossing someone, the Wukong in to where both Akali and Renekton were sitting just means an easy 3-man that turns the fight around and gives them a great opportunity here to just grab both these objectives on the bot side and a big swing back over to Syndicate.
I'll be real, when I saw Wukong get tossed into the backline, I got scared because he still had the second charge of that Cyclone. I thought, oh no, El Pafo made a kind of mistake. This is where it all turns around. But like you said, that 3-man Shockwave, beautifully timed by Tango, pulls him in, deals enough damage to take out a couple key members, and then the rest of the re-engage, the rest of the follow-up just was not there. Kratos gets a great engage on the back half of that fight, but it's after everyone's already dead. It's after all your team is already retreating. It's just not the time to burn that engage tool and go in. It's just another death that you're feeding to the enemy team.
Yeah, I think something to note is since this is lethality, Varus, you know, the damage output is just not that high when it comes to these longer fights. Wants to find some poke early on, but if Syndicate find a snap engage like they just did, like it doesn't, you know, there's not going to be any time for the Varus to actually set up with some extra damage onto any of these carries, so it really is just going to have to come from the full force of Macaulay, Wukong, Renekton dive, and they could not find that since they were on the back foot starting that fight.
Yeah, and I think that's really the key to victory here for Syndicate, not being on the back foot, not being forced to use your tools for disengage, but being the primary engage. But into this Akuma composition, that's a very tough ask. The rest of the enemy red buff here. Aftermoon is spotting this out, but are they going to fight it? Kratos face checks the brush. Panda now potentially in trouble. Gets rooted up, charmed up, crashed down in. There goes Panda. Aftermoon in the meantime is onto the backline with Zombie Poppy. And there goes the jungler. Chill Savior forced out. Aftermoon forced out as well. On the run. Curtain Call opens up. First and second shot land, but third and fourth will just hit air. El Pafo having a little bit weird here. Does have the Sterex. Shockwave finds nobody. A nice flash from the Renekton dash from the Renekton will get him out, and El Pafo's the one to suffer. Zombie on the run, but a very tough fight back and forth. It feels like nobody really won that exchange.
Yeah, it was actually really close. Tango tried to get the Shockwave on top of the set as soon as he went for that W, but unfortunately just slightly wide. It means that they're not going to get the big combo to actually allow them to find a big victory there in that one, but they still get away with the turret, so a little bit more extra gold going Syndicate's way. But the gold is basically even at this point, and we're getting soon, you know, to the point where gold matters less. Still about 10k for both these teams before we hit that marker, but still very solid here. And I mean, we're going to 40 minutes for sure.
Yeah, I think we're hitting the late game in this game in number 1. Fourth item completed for Rhino. Has that Sorelda's Grudge now. Blush trying to finish up what I assume is going to be the Mortal Reminder. Maybe the other option is gets there in time for his support to get out, and Kratos eats a chunk of damage. It's the issue with this Redemption first build. You are not very tanky on this rel, and I feel like you really need to be in a game like this.
Yeah, the Jhin is pretty much the strongest point Jhin will be for the most part with that IE, and finally that Last Whisper also completed, so having a little bit of tank shredding as well. Just a very powerful position to be at, and you know, I can't say the same for the side of the Varus. Definitely still wants one more item, but already kind of past the 3-item mark, that 3-item spike that Varus always likes. I mean, it could be really whatever you want.
I honestly think that you just tech in a Bork here, just so you can, if the fights do end up being up close and personal and you're not allowed to just free poke, you can do something to the Udyr, you can do something to the set. You have the option to hit these tanks for at least a little bit more damage, because right now, just relying on your Soreldas to get through these health bars is just not enough.
Yeah. Curious to see that item choice as well, but we do have the LDR completed for the Jhin. The Orianna is picking up some pen here. We'll end up going for that Void Staff, so we're not going to see any Rabadon shenanigans by either of these carries in the mid lane. So playing a little bit more reserved as well.
Yeah, Void Staff just a really efficient item, especially at this point in the game. Ever since the durability update, the pen items have been so good. You're getting to like 60 MR and near 100 armor by everybody in the late game as Kratos gets a couple of nice side steps. Caught by the knockup, does have a cleanse for himself to get out. Call opens up. Kratos is the target. First shot, second shot. That should just be one dead rel. Killing spree goes Blush. First shot lands onto Aftermoon and takes a chunk out of the health bar as well. Will force the Wukong back at the very least, but Dragon spawning in 30 seconds. Kratos will be back up in time at the very least to be there after it starts, if Akuma can delay.
Yeah, set backing just to catch that top side wave. Does have the TP as well. I feel like Kratos really been getting caught, but also just been getting targeted. Panda definitely just calling, hey, there is a rel here warding. I think it's a pretty free engage, and we've seen it time and time again this game, and already 0 and 6 on that rel. You know, This is a champion. You could rack up a lot of deaths just going in very aggressively. They want the soul here, Syndicate, and they're in such a good position here with no rel in
already
the
down to
area.
8k, and they have the pseudo double smite with that force shot. Panda over the wall takes Dwami Poppy for a little bit of a ride there, knocks him up. The soul's just going to go over Syndicate. Without soul in inventory, now what can they do with it? Because there's a couple of champions here that use and abuse it. I think especially Rakan and Udyr love this particular soul. Movement speed being so key for these champions.
Yeah, Udyr loves this particular soul, and they're looking
He's
for
so
T-Dog
fast!
again.
Oh my god, he's so fast! He's sprinting down Kraydog, lands the stun, there's the root from the Deadly Flourish, and explodes Kraydog! Knockup lands on the clone of Aftermoon, Showstopper in, a double kill for Opapa, now chasing down a Rhino, the shots land from Blush, down goes the Varus, onto the backline goes 123 Cool Kitten, but is just immediately forced out. Perfect execution used defensively. Iron Mantle shield so big from Chill Savior as well. He's able to tank the turret. Dwami Poppy has that dominance on. Chill Savior eating a chunk of damage, but just so darn tanky on this Udyr. Exhaust comes down to the Renekton, forcing him to flash out, dash out, get out. Cool Kitten forced to flash out as well. Everybody manages to stay alive. But their friends have already fallen, and now immediately Syndicate returns over towards the Baron.
Not sure if this is the safest play, considering Aftermoon, you know, is up in 17, but I think they have just enough damage to be able to get through this, since they do have the burn Udyr, of course, so they'll be able to grab this. No, you know, not too much of a sweat here, and that was a huge opening here for Syndicate. You know, the speed up from the Udyr, finding Keith Kraydog again. Really, all you really need to just find a nice engage, and once again, Rel getting caught out again is going to be kind of a death nail in this game if it keeps up.
It's an unfortunate part of playing these melee supports is you are very vulnerable when you do things like you go out and ward or you're face checking brushes for your team. I think the big deal is outside of the build path where Redemption First Item really makes you not very tanky, the other half of this is Kraydog hasn't had a friend with him when he's going to ward. Oftentimes, whether it's in solo queue or pro play, you'll see the support and the jungler or the support and the mid laner pairing up to go investigate, put down wards, look for flank angles, look for potential opportunities. But a lot of this game has been Kraydog kind of on his own. And that's really what Syndicate has been taking advantage of. Anytime they see Kraydog, they know that there isn't a friend around. Like right now, Chill Savior is able to just walk at him and is not afraid of any potential repercussions because Aftermoon and Rhino are on the other side of the wall. They can't help it.
Yeah, Aftermoon kind of wants this fight, positioning for a potential Cyclone with 1-2-3 Cool Kitten here.
On the back line, Shuriken Flip lands onto Panda, but that's the Rakan that you're targeting. Flashes over the wall, Chill Savior now potentially the one they're after, but the Zudyr's darn quick, and Blush has already fourth-shotted their support down. Nice knock-up by Panda is going to stop Cool Kitten from getting onto the back line. Chill Savior may die here. He's got the Iron Mantle and the slow. Slice and dice in, pull the meek, but Chill Savior is Udyr. CY outside walks out of there, and now Dwami's on the wrong side of the map trying to get this fight to work in his favor. Already down under half, trying to get on top of Blush, but Panda playing some great support there, making sure that his AD carry stays safe. And this game has opened up in favor of Syndicate.
Yeah, this is suddenly a waterfall here for the side of Syndicate. They should be able to just clear out all three inhibitors and then go for the Nexus if they'd like it. But there really is no response that they can find at this point, considering 1-2-3 Cool Cat still down here for another 20 seconds, and the damage is coming through. Rhino, probably the last chance here with the Chains of Corruption to find something huge.
Yeah, the poke trying to clear out those empowered cannon minions, but the Baron buff just makes them so darn tanky. Shot after shot lands, the Nexus turrets have already fallen, and the Nexus will go. Syndicate, in bloody fashion, will take game number 1.
And my 40-minute prediction barely comes true here, right over the 40-minute mark.
It was correct.
Syndicate, nice victory here in the first game. We talked about how it's going to be kind of complicated on these team fights, but they navigated it well. They leveraged the fact that they have the strong engaged composition, and they just need to get around not getting flanked and not getting engaged on first. And they did it well. They had some hiccups in the mid game, but honestly, it was leveraged off of the fact that Renekton was pretty strong and able to roam a little bit earlier than the set in most of these fights, but Ilpafo definitely made use out of that set, finds a couple big openings in the mid lane back to back to really put Syndicate in a great position to take game 1.
Yeah, I think the early game was a little bit suspect, a little bit concerning when we were coming into that. We were thinking, oh, Ilpafo getting caught out there. Aftermoon made a couple of great ganks there just to make his life very miserable, but after a certain point, once the team fight started and the laning phase really stopped, it felt like El Pafo just had more options. And Tommy Poppy was strong, was fed on the Renekton, was an absolute menace. We were talking, I think it was at like 20 minutes of saying, hey, if the Renekton's left alone on the back line, he's just gonna kill people. But that never really happened. It was just Syndicate coordinating the team fights that little bit better, not being on the back foot. And I think a big part of that was the picks that they found onto Kraydog.
Yeah, for sure. Picks on a Kraydog. They found Rhino twice in mid as well, so definitely some big openings that they were able to find. And I mean, that's what you do with the Jhin, Orianna, Rakan bot side trio. You know, that is kind of the angles you're looking for. So big ups to them, and they're gonna take game one in stride. And all 10 of these champions, don't forget, Fearless is live, so all 10 of these champions you will not see again in this one.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how the draft changes up coming into game number 2, but we'll get to that draft on the other side of this break. We'll see you when we get back for game number 2 between Syndicate and Akuma anti-tank weapons. See you there.
bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right? That's a bet, right? That's a deal, right? That's a deal, right?
Welcome back, everybody. We are getting ourselves ready to get underway for draft for game number 2 between Akuma, Anti-Tank, and Syndicate. I'm still Brady, that's still GG, and that was a heck of a game number 1.
Yeah, definitely an exciting one to kick it off. Both teams kind of going back and forth, and unfortunately a couple big picks here on to the crucial members of the side of Akuma for their, particularly their Engage, their Varus and their Aurel going down early on in these ones definitely did put a hamper in their game plan, but they're looking to bounce back in the game 2, of course, because we still got at least 2 more games to go with how these best of 5s go. So we'll have to see whether this is going to be us staying till midnight or, us wrapping up in just an hour or two here. That's always going to be the question, but we are
Now
going
that you
straight
said
into
it,
draft.
we are getting 40-minute games every game, going to game 5. You've cursed us. How could
Well,
you?
I know our producers won't be joining us on that journey, so it's just me and you. Dude.
Our producers do work on the regular. They are not just working here at Titan, so it is good that they get their sleep and make
Oh
sure that
God,
they are not
working
staying
only
up
on the
for.
Titan salary. Woo! I love you, Sams, but this is not livable wage.
I will not comment on that. I like to keep my job. Thank you very much. But
Unionized. No, I'm
anyway,
kidding.
we're getting into the draft for game number 2 here. Akuma are stepping onto the blue side of this time around. The teams are swapping sides. Ash and Jarvan will be banned away by Syndicate, whereas Akuma continuing the focus on these mid lane picks and some of these more specific, person-specific picks, not the meta-specific picks. Alongside that, Caitlyn taking that one away from Blush.
Yeah, this is a pretty different draft. All things, I think only the Rise and the Ash. Okay, now the Mbessa as well are kind of similar. Yeah. But they definitely have swapped up a lot. But this is what happens when you do swap sides here. Akuma has their priority in I assume the bot lane, since they banned out Caitlyn in that last rotation there, so it will be the Yunara immediately. So one of those things that there aren't that many answers left. I mean, you think of stuff like Jhin, Varus, Caitlyn, these are all champions that do pretty well into Yunara, but
Ash, even to a certain extent.
There isn't great responses, so we're just going to see another power pick on the way in the Kai'Sa. We're playing carry into carry here in the bot side. I'm curious to see whether it'll be a Kai'Sa or Nada, something like that to give some lane presence potentially instead of something like a Nautilus, but guaranteed we're going to see a Nautilus with the Yunara. That's just, I feel like, every time.
Yeah, it's Yunara and Nautilus. I feel like Yunara Braum is also potential if you want something that's a little bit more defensive, if you have Engage from other options. So they're going to plan to grab Engage from somewhere else. Now the question is just where are they getting it from? They do still have other options in the jungle they can think about. Something like a Sejuani, something we were talking about during the break. You mentioned some potential tech. The top lane Sejuani unnoticed.
They don't know. The buffs were targeted towards that with some AP ratio buffs, but it will be the Aatrox, so a strong top laner will be blinded here, and it's going to be the Bard lock-in as well. We talked about Bard last week about, there's no immobile carries, but then, we just saw it absolutely nail every single piece of execution. So, does Panda got it like that? We'll have to see, but we're seeing now those roaming mids get banned out just a little bit more. We're seeing Galio, Talia taken off the table, especially with the Nocturne locked in. These roaming mids are even more precious and coveted in this one. So it will be the Lilia, pretty good counter pick for the Nocturne. Hits level 6 a little bit earlier, does a little bit better time actually going for team fights. And now it really comes down to what can Akuma do for engage. They have Aatrox Braum, they're playing really heavy disengage. Will they be picking something like an Ahri? But they just banned it out, so that leaves like stuff like Mel, Hui. You go for a little bit more of a poke mage here with Aurora now locked in for the other side.
Yeah, there's not a lot of engage left. My thought would be Hui. I just don't know. I feel like their options are fairly limited if they want some other form of engage. They're gonna opt for Victor. So they really need engage coming out of their jungle. Assuming that the Aatrox is not going jungle, the Aatrox jungle buffs did happen. It's potentially there. I don't think it will happen, but
Mundo.
It could be happening because that Mundo could go top lane depending on the matchup. So Syndicate has to pick something that's good versus Mundo and good versus Aatrox. Kled, I guess, is potentially in the back pocket.
Poppy's not bad.
Darius is going to be the lock-in. So Il Pafo still continuing that aggressive top lane playstyle. But now I think even more vulnerable than the set is. You don't really even have that good defensive option of the Haymaker.
Yeah, but I think it's a pretty easy lane here for the Mundo. We are seeing that it is going to be the Aatrox jungle here, so pretty interesting stuff. I mean, it should have a free time farming, which is really the main issue with the Aatrox is, I mean, if you get invaded and you just committed your Q3, good luck. But it is a Nocturne, so it should be fine.
Yeah, we're going to have to see how the A-Angle, I'll figure out a better name for it.
Oh, God.
I'll figure out a better name for it as we get on to the Rift. It's game number 2. It's Akuma anti-tank. It's Syndicate Reprise. I
Yeah,
think I'm
this.
actually fairly worried for Dwami Poppy in this matchup. Darius is a champion that can abuse a top laner without any form of mobility, and while Mundo goes where he pleases, he doesn't really have a dash to get there.
Yeah, both of these team comps don't really have great engage. I mean, you have the Nocturne, but like the follow-up is just Aurora clicking R and Bard also just finding a nice angle on something.
These feel
So,
like solo queue comps, if I'm being
oh, for
honest.
sure. We were talking about scrapping in the last one, but this one's gonna be, I think one team's just gonna come out to a roaring lead in the early game and they're just gonna take it from there. So we'll have to see. I honestly would have expected something a little bit more disengage heavy in the top side, like a Gragas potentially for the side of Dwami Poppy, and just fully index towards this Nocturne and this Kaisa are never playing the game. Um, because you got Braum, Aatrox, and a Gragas. But they decided to play a little nice. They went for the Mundo with no CC. So,
Yeah. There's no real crowd control to activate the window except for maybe the Cosmic Binding from the Bard and the Fear from the Nocturne. I mean, you'll cancel out the hook from Darius, but the slow still applies. The other part of that is Kai'Sa's really good at killing tanks. Whether you're building on a hit or AP, she will kind of just kill tanks.
yeah, the max HP damage. Or is it current HP damage? One of the two. Either way, it's still very
I think
effective.
it's percent missing health damage actually on the Plasma.
Yeah. Bard Kaisa is definitely very interesting here, but Braum Yunara not exactly like the strongest 2v2. It's more for that mid game where it gets very powerful, but it's so far working out. Panda's
Stuns
finding the
landing.
stuns.
Ignite onto Kratok, just getting the Braum under a quarter HP. I don't hate using Ignite just early and aggressively like that. I think more often than not, you'll find that your combat summoners especially should be expended fairly aggressively.
Yeah. I'm just surprised not to see something like an Alistar in this one. This seems like prime Alistar game. I know the Braum was locked in early, but even
Nautilus was
then,
also an option.
yeah,
Again,
I
didn't
think
have to play versus the Braum, but consistent engage.
I definitely would have considered an Alistar for the side of Panda, but you know, different timeline for that one. We are just seeing pretty normal mid lane here. Tango just has to kind of survive, play the mana pool, and then eventually when you hit level 6, you should have an easier all-in into this Victor, especially with the Nocturne being able to combine their strengths. So, pretty interesting.
I did check the Kaisa passive. That is percent missing health damage, so it is pretty good versus the tanks, especially if you have something like a Bork to consistently get them down to lower HP, or even just like Kraken Slayer to do a ton of consistent damage, Nashor's Tooth as well to make that missing health damage even bigger. You've got options, and already early we're seeing Dwami Poppy kind of struggling up here on the top side, which I think versus the Ghost Darius is just kind of expected.
I mean, that's just how it is. At least you won't be able to get Eid to just death immediately, just because you have that passive protecting you. But for the most part, you're just gonna be chucking those ukuleles and praying that you don't.
I love the
You
sound
don't.
of that.
I love the World's Trophy. That's the goat of
The
of
thunk
sound
of the World's
effects.
Trophy is also really good. Nice little pull there from Opatho. Is going to pull the passive off, make sure that Dwami can't go where he pleases, but unfortunately you can't really stop Mundo from continuing to heal unless we see an early Executioner's Calling, which is not particularly in the Darius build path, so I think it's going to be difficult trying to slot that one in comfortably. There is a worry here of, with Aatrox and with Mundo, who on this Syndicate team is actually building anti-heal and is not incredibly nerfed by it?
Yeah, I would say the Nocturne, but at the same time, I mean, it still feels kind of bad.
Yeah.
I guess Aurora's not the worst, does apply a lot of it, but yeah, you are nerfing your burst damage, but I don't know if burst damage is necessarily needed as much in this one, so I could see that being the main pick for it. Especially since she should just be able to survive in a lot of these fights, considering the draft Akuma has picked up, where it's just, okay,
Yeah.
Yunara is going to stay alive, and we're going to do the damage from the Yunara, so...
I wouldn't be
we'll
shocked if it is double burn on both of these mid laners, Blackfire and Leandries for both of them. Maybe the Leandry's not as necessary for Cool Kitten, but Ghost Pop by Opatho, actually just looking to play aggressive, forces the flash out of Dwami, respecting the early Darius damage, and I think that's a trade that you're pretty comfortable taking Ghost for flash if you're Opatho.
Yeah, Ghost, obviously a much shorter cooldown over than the Flash, so we'll be getting that back up very soon in regards to it. But level 6 ticking over soon, So now is when the Mundo really has to be worried, especially now committing the TP in the top side. So won't have any way to come back if a trade goes sour. Aatrox on the bot side has had a very easy time just farming up, keeping up with the Nocturne. Is looking to potentially look for something here, but as I said, the engage is just so poor, especially with no minion waves for Kraydog to actually jump to really start it off. So,
ooh, flashing from
flying
Apafo.
forward.
Yeah, they know that the Mundo doesn't have his own flash. Fear will land, but the Zap's gonna come through. That's a lot of healing. The bleed now ticking away. Dwami healing under turret. Biscuits too good. Dwami finds first blood.
God, it's the biscuits, but also the passive came back as the fear from the Nocturne came through, which just gave the extra resilience, and he finds both.
Oh, it's a disaster in the top lane. That's a double for Dwami on the Mundo, and we've seen what a fed Mundo can do with a little bit of a lead. Oh, I'm now suddenly much more scared for Syndicate in this game.
Yeah, a little bit of a disgusting performance from the Syndicate top side. It is what it is. It'll be fine though. They still got a nice 20 minutes in this one at very least. So we'll see if they're able to come back. But yeah, Fed Mundo doing his push thing will definitely be a force to be reckoned with here as we do get a replay. Look, the passive wasn't up, but it came up as the fear came through here from Chill Savior. But what is the Nocturne even doing sticking around here? Dwami probably just walks up. Says,
no, you don't greed for that can.
Oh, he
you
wants
don't greed for those 3 minions.
Wants the casters.
No. Dwami doing 6, and then it's just over.
Oh boy. I mean, hey, you know, they're up 1-0, and the Darius is getting ganked.
Yeah, he does have the Decimate available, but Aftermoon also has the World Ender on. Nice dodging out from these Umbral Chains. The Darkened Blade does plenty of damage, and it's just enough to pick up El Pafo. Again, struggling thanks to the ganks of Aftermoon.
Well, you know, this is not looking that great. The Darius is not off the ground, and I think Mundo is going to get to the point where it doesn't really matter how much damage this Darius does. At least Chill Savior, because Aatrox did go for the gank to really shut down the Darius. They will grab themselves a Drake, stall out the game just a little bit in case the Drake stacking actually will end up mattering. But yeah, pretty bad position to be in. Already 1.5k gold down on some really crucial members for the side of Syndicate.
Yeah. It started off looking like life was going to be pretty fancy free for Syndicate. You get the flash out of the Mundo early, you get a good gank off, you force out the cooldown at the very least. Speaking of ganks, first Paranoia comes through on top of a Cool Kit and Tango. Taken pretty low though. I don't think they actually have the damage to finish this one off. They're gonna go under turret again. The Ignite from Panda, the Meep comes through, finishes it off.
All right, Panda says, I'll do it myself. We've seen this before last week with the
Bard with gold.
Bard with a ton of gold. We'll see if that ends up having to be the case again, but at least sealing the deal there on that mid lane kill. Nocturne sacrificing some of that camp. He could have grabbed up actually 2 camps from this Aatrox and really cemented a lead, but wanted to put the mid lane ahead here, so decides to drop them here. Good guy jungle here for Chill Savior. Finds bit of a return, but the gold not going exactly in the person's pocket you'd like with that. You know, Aurora with the lead is just as scary as Mundo with the lead in my opinion, but just not able to grab the kill there. Too much damage from that Chaos Storm. Man, this lane has completely changed tone.
Yeah,
with the double giant spell.
Oh, El Pafo is having such a great time. This lane is so free to, oh no, life's a disaster. El Pafo already under half HP, but Chill Savior's in the area. They're gonna look to try again. He's got the maximum dosage, though. He's gonna be pretty quick. Fear's gonna come down. Decimate's available. Do they have the damage? They will finish him off. El Pafo picks up the shutdown goal.
All right, the kill comes through. Chill Savior there to kind of save the lane. El Pafo's back in this one. Crisis averted for the most part. So now it's, can they stabilize after this? Blush and Panda have already been doing pretty well here on the bot side. Kraydog looking for something, but just gonna call it off.
Bottom side. Don't end up finding too much off of it. We're seeing Blush opt for what looks like Kraken Slayer first item here, so it is going to be the on-hit from Kaisa, not any of the AP shenanigans. We might see the triple evolve as opposed to double. It will depend on what avenue they want to go for, but I know what Bork is going to be in that build path somewhere, because if they're not killing Mundo, no one on this team is.
Yeah, just see how that ends up panning out. Panda taking a bit of damage here, but should not get stunned by that concussive blow, so will be fine. But the control ward will be defended here in that pixel brush. And they're going to hit again.
Mid lane again. Fulkin does have the flash, but Fear comes through just saying, "No, I'm already dead. Take me home." Tango with the weirding picks it up.
Yeah, the worst thing you could do against Nocturne is flash and then not get out of range of the W. So just gonna show the respect.
Deceptive.
Yeah, Elpafo, a little bit more feet under him. Gonna be doing some damage over. Needs to dodge all these cleavers just to guarantee Dwami does not get the return on investment of pressing the Q. So still pretty good.
I'm questioning whether Dwami is opting for. This is always the question with Mundo in the top lane. Are you opting for Heartsteel first, or are you going for Warmogs first? Because there's a large camp of Mundo players who will say to go for Heartsteel second, because with the Warmogs, you get a stronger laning phase just from having your health scalings. You have the infinite sustain. You'll get the Heartsteel stacks because it scales with HP. It's a conscientious topic as Kraydog looks for a potential engage, but is just taken under half HP with a nice stun from Panda. We saw that Aftermoon was in the area, but this is the issue with Aatrox jungle. Yeah, you can, you clear your camps well. You'll do plenty of damage to them. How do you actually get a gank off?
Yeah, this is why those top lane jungles are a little bit hard to actually find something. I mean, it's different when it's a tank, but when we're talking about these bruiser top laners that end up in the jungle, the only one to have ever done it extremely well was Camille, and it's because she had a full screen engage. So it was a little bit different compared to Aatrox, who really has to just kind of waddle in there, and with no easy engage in any of these lanes, it's just not the easiest time to find anything besides just farming camps over and over as Aftermoon has done.
The Aatrox dash just ever so slightly shorter than the hookshot wall dive is. Patho,
just a little.
Again. Yeah, just a touch shorter than that ability is. Yeah, you can see once the cleavers land, Patho's in trouble. Has no ghost. Aftermoon is just popping the World Ender. Patho immediately forced to flag. Falls Aftermoon under turret though. Q2 lands. Redemption's coming in. It's in time. Patho sees Leopard just long enough. It's not. Aftermoon finishes him off, stabs him in the back, and walks out.
Yeah, Pafo wants to get a little bit sneaky with it, but doesn't actually commit the R there, which maybe would have been just enough to actually, get the kill through. But without full stacks, I'm never that confident as the Darius that the R will actually find the pickup.
Meantime, with all that attention paid on top side, yeah, the Grubs went over to Akuma, but it is Syndicate taking down the Dragon instead. But the worry about that is it's Mundo with Grubs, and this guy is kind of good at taking turrets.
He has a reputation for a reason. I will say it is Hextech or Hexplate here for the Nocturne, so should be firing off those paranoias, but we haven't really seen any just yet, so still waiting for it.
It's a Mountain Soul, GG.
That's
a Mundo with some Mountain Soul potential on the Rift here. I'm immediately afraid. Nice sidestep by Kraydog. Has the stand behind me as well. Nice little set of movement there. Put on his blue suede shoes and went dancing.
I think for sure there, as the Nocturne, you just click R, just to deny the vision on Panda.
Nice sidestep, gets away from the Winter's Bite, has to flash away. Glacial Fissure goes wide, but the engage is already there. Panda has already been taken down. Can the rest of the team get revenge? Blush in with the Killer Instinct. The barrier's there, but it's not enough for Rhino. Now Kraydog looking for a way out, maybe a potential re-engage for Aftermoon. Uses the supercharge to get out. Chill Savior takes up the chains, but is not feeling too afraid of them. Everybody walks out. It's traded 1-for-1, but support for AD carry. If you're Syndicate, you'll take that every time.
Yeah, still pretty good. Nocturne, they didn't show the respect of the Nocturne being in the area still, which is a very large area for Nocturne to be in. So just immediately getting a paranoia to the face and gets taken down. But yeah, for sure, as I was saying before, I think Chill Savior just clicks R, so the Tempered Fate from the Bard is just that much more unreactable. But that's not how it actually turned out, but they still got a kill on the bot side, so I don't think they're too upset with how that actually panned out. But we're at even gold here at 15 minutes into the game, 2 Drakes over to Syndicate, so they've put themselves in a really good position considering we were talking about how strong this Mundo is going to be, but if they could just stack dragons, I don't think it's going to matter as much. Just that extra gold will make the main difference.
But now Syndicate really can't give up a single dragon, because if you're playing versus even like 2 mountain dragons, Mundo, Braum, even Aatrox to a certain extent, these champions are just going to be so difficult to actually put down, even with all the damage you have on your team. As you're looking for a fight, pull in from El Pafo, immediately between worlds goes Tango, Paranoia into the backline, looking for some damage. The Bard only finds one, but it's one team member. The Braum is taken out of the fight, and after Moon falls, Kraydog now on the run, forced to run away from the team, and El Pafo decimates him, takes his head off, chasing down Dwami, but the Mundo's pretty quick. We'll knock out of there in time. A nice engage and a nice fight from Syndicate.
Yeah, the Between Worlds there doing so much for that. What is it? It's an 85% slow, 90% slow, something disgusting. But just able. Well, it used to be a complete jail, so you know.
God, yeah, remember when you just couldn't walk out of that ability? Remember when Riot thought that was gonna
pretty
be
fun.
balanced?
Yeah, that was pretty fun. So just doing so much work there. You saw how difficult it was for Kraydog to get out of there, but Panda's doing a great job of finding these engages there, just nullifying the shield there from the Braum immediately, and then finds the stun onto 2 right afterwards. So they're finding the angles they need to actually be able to secure these objectives that honestly they shouldn't be in a good position to take.
Yeah, and these fights are so important for them to actually find, because if Akuma is allowed to settle their feet and is allowed to root in and take position on the map, it's going to be so hard to force them out. We've already seen Mundo with that Warmogs completed. He's got the Infant to sustain for laning phase now. He's going to be so difficult to actually get out of this top lane, even with your Leandry's Aurora in the area. I say again, who's building anti-heal on this team? Because it doesn't look like it's going to be Darius, and it's not looking like it's going to be Aurora, at least this early in the game.
I don't think it should be the Nocturne, but it is a little bit awkward, but we'll have to see how that goes. The Herald will get payment completed for Syndicate, finds the turret kill there for Chill Savior and El Pafo, so some nice gold injected into them. 300 gold bounty on the Aurora, so gotta play really careful here. No stopwatch or anything like that, so you will just be playing careful. Demolish coming through. Dwami Poppy is kind of in an awkward position, but it's just kind of doing so far.
Here comes the Paranoia. They're just going to look to take on the Mundo. No flash. Maximum dosage used. They should just have the damage to take him down. Between Worlds also popped. Just really want to make sure that this guy goes down. Decimate couldn't even come down. The guillotine not necessary.
Yeah, but this is Drake up in 20, so with both your Paranoia and your Between Worlds, you know, kind of fully committed here in the top side, I can't imagine this Drake goes the way of Syndicate in any form or fashion.
Supercharge used by Blush aggressively, going to be pulled back by the Infernal Chains. A nice tempered fate, but by Panda, but it's not going to be enough to save him with Kraydog and Rhino walking up. Shutdown gold gifted to the Yunara alongside that turret destruction in the bottom side. Akuma punch back on the other side of the map, and now we're going to look to turn to the Dragon.
Yeah, this should be a pretty free Drake here. Nothing in the area, but a nice find there from Aftermoon to actually land the Q to guarantee the concussive blows come through from the Braum, so secures a nice kill onto Kaisa, and that was a little bit of a bounty, so gold going back the other way, and a Drake, so to stall some of that stacking, and you talk about how strong Mountain Drake is for these tankier lifesteal or healing heavy champions, and that'll just keep becoming more of an issue as the game goes on, but you know, it's not like Akuma's out of the water just yet. This is still very much so favored for Syndicate.
The game is still very tight. It's still going to be very close. We're going to have to see how Syndicate actually deals with this, because these tanky members are only going to get tankier. I will say, El Pafo has picked up the anti-heal, has realized that the Mundo and the Aatrox are going to be problematic if somebody isn't stopping them from healing. So has opted to pay the taxes on that regard, but it does mean it's going to slow down what I assume is going to be probably a Sterak's second item. I'm not sure. Tunneler builds into quite a few things nowadays.
Yeah, I kind of took that position of where Old's Phage used to be, which is kind of interesting. So now we are seeing Kraydog get poked out just a little bit, but this is Braum, a lot tankier just inherently than the Rel, so much harder to actually get taken down here, as we do see some Riot lag. Classic. Right around the 20-minute mark as the Otacon spawns, so nothing too crazy. And yeah, it's just at this point they're looking for some fights here for Syndicate, since they do feel like they are a bit stronger at this point. But the item completions are coming through. Yunara has the IE.
Panda's got to be
Panda.
careful. Slurkle in. Rhino's got the slow. There's the stun. But Blush on the other side is taking the fight. Taken down by the Tempered Fate. Can they find any more? The Plasma Burst comes in. And El Papo on the flank. Kraydog's taken down. And now Rhino on the run. But on the wrong side of the map is Transcended. Looking for the dashes. The Flash is trying to get out. The Dustbringer's path will find Rhino. But with the mobility, Unaro managed to walk out. It's just a pick onto one. And Syndicate can't press for any further advantage.
Yeah, good bait there from Panda. Finds the double Temper Fate just to lock it up. And I like the kind of weird re-engage angle that Blush kind of took where, oh, you go mid, you fake that there's no one else in the area. And guess what? There is a Darius behind everyone. And then comes the ultimate, the Killer Instinct to fly in. And they're going to be rewarded for their efforts here. They're going to be able to grab up this Otacon and equalize some of that extra XP that the Darius might be down from the Mundo. So definitely very solid here. Extra adaptive force definitely not going to hurt as well. Tango now taking over to level 14. Definitely one of the strongest members in this game. Still looking for an item completion here. -1. It's chill.
Don't worry, Tango. Nobody saw it. You were not on stream. It's not going to be the Sterix. It's actually going to be the Shojin second item for El Pafo. I feel like more often than not we see Darius opt for either Sterix or Black Cleaver just because of how efficient these items are, but Shojin probably very good on Darius if I had to guess. I haven't looked at the Darius matchup stats recently to see his build paths, as we really don't see him very often up here in Vanquisher.
He was a menace at the very beginning of the couple weeks, so just people playing their comfort. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Sterix is typically the choice, but Shojin should be a much burstier build, and if they're planning on just one-shotting Rhino, that might be the pick.
I think even just to try and deal with Dwami, just that percentage increase in damage on your basic abilities and the lowered cooldown on your basic abilities as well will be enough to get around the Mundo passive, even if he does manage to pick it up pre-level 16 at the very least. Because as soon as you're level 16, when you pick it up, it's just immediately back again. It's not just a cooldown reduction, it's cooldown gone.
Now they're kind of looking here for Blush, but their engage is just so poor. They really just need to find someone on a flank or something. Nocturne Bard looking for something, but not gonna go for it. Blush is walking up.
Every time Blush uses that supercharger aggressively, I get scared. I get nervous because if there's one way for Akuma to actually get an engage, it's an out of position AD carry, and I feel like Kai'Sa's E is almost the same as Vayne Tumble, where every AD carry wants to use it to go forward. They want to be aggressive. Speaking of being aggressive, Paranoia up here on the top side. Dwami a little bit out of position, getting forced out. Anti-heal is on. Goes where he pleases, but he flashes right into the face of Blush and Panda, and now it's just Blush eating some free food. One heart steal stack goes over, but the kill is back to Blush.
Yeah, no way to know that the AD carry is, just waiting there to receive the paycheck that the top laner and jungler's kind of secured here. 30 seconds on this Drake. Positioning already favored here with that nice deep ward here for the side of Akuma, but because Aurora's in the area, they actually have an okay position. Gonna find a stun.
On to Aftermoon. Panda gets tagged up. The Tempered Fate finds two. Can Syndicate push for a fight here? Pull lands, but it's just onto Kraydog. Glacial Pitcher puts in a lot of work. But El Pafo with the guillotine finds one immediately. He's taken down. Rhino is transcended, and he is looking to continue the fight. Chill Savior forced to flash out with Tango on the flank, looking for the backline. There goes Aftermoon, bursted out by the Weirding. Chill Savior looking to just frontline for Rhino, but Rhino's already taken it down. Tango now the one in trouble. His Cool Kitten falls on the backside, but Dwami Hobby has respawned. He's teleported in, and now suddenly there's a lot of trouble as Mundo's running your team down. Blush looking to re-engage, gets out with the Bard Portal, takes a magical journey and escapes, but the dragon is not able to be taken by Syndicate.
Yeah, Rhino finding the 1v2 on the backside there onto the Aurora and the Nocturne, who committed a lot of cooldowns. Definitely
Tango.
Very impactful here.
Tango, did he get it? He didn't get the two-fold hex. Whoa, Rhino lives with a sliver of HP.
Yeah, that was extremely close. If Tango knows and just walks up for that last auto there, potentially could have just found it, but won't do so. The barrier was, good hold on the barrier there for Rhino, just barely being able to survive. I would have definitely pressed the button just to be sure.
Yeah, sometimes you just gotta say, if Riot loves me, I'll live this combo. And then you do, and Riot loves you.
Yeah. But, it would have been a pretty bad death to take there since the dragon is up here. Dwami Poppy wants to fight again. El Pafo has the R back up. Ready to go. Tango. Huge chunk onto Rhino.
Yeah, caught by the slow, but the chunk out of Rhino. skill popped by Kraydog just to get him a little bit of health back. Has the red buff as well, so we'll be able to
First
sustain
fade.
over time, but they have to keep the sustain up. They have to stall. Blush pushing in the mid lane, just trying to avoid these death lasers. That's a cool kitten. We haven't talked about the Victor that much, but now sitting on 2 items, Leander's completed. Victor's getting fairly scary. They have to respect the amount of damage he can put out with the Death Rays. Aftermoon pops that World Ender, Blushes the target, exhausted. They pick off the Kaitsa! Aftermoon picks up the shutdown gold. Now Meteor on the back lane goes Chill Savior, and he's found Rhino. 80 carries are dead, and now Tango gets to shine. El Papo takes the guillotine to Dwami Poppy and to Kraydog. A double kill for the Darius, and they're gonna turn to Baron.
Yeah, that was a big opening there. They say we don't even need the Drake here. Our 80 carry has just paved the way for a free engage on to Rhino. So they find the 80 carry that is supposed to be so protected in this composition. And just like that, Syndicate goes for the Baron, and they're going to be able to grab it up. And I assume they're going to immediately off of recall just go straight towards that dragon and secure that as well. Good find here for Syndicate.
You don't want to be giving up the second dragon, so I think they're going to immediately turn to that. I like the idea of just taking the Baron first. You don't want to have to take another fight over that objective, and with the recalls, you'll get to the dragon faster. You still have a few resources available for the fight. You have flashes here and there, but neither does Akuma. A lot of flashes expended. I think importantly, Aftermoon and Cool Kitten still have their flashes. Rhino should have that one up in just a couple of seconds. I can't tell if that's on cooldown or if that's just up, actually.
Yeah, now they're going to go look towards it. I maybe think Akuma is going to take this, but with no Mundo in the area, they're going to just have to find a pick. But Panda's been so annoying for this Aatrox to even walk towards these objectives, so it's just going to be a call off on that one, and that will be sole point here for Syndicate.
Panda also doing his part, picking up the anti-heal on the Bard. You can buy whatever you want on Bard, so you might as well buy a utility item that makes it life so much easier for your team. Third item is going to come through for Blush pretty soon here, I imagine either on this wave or the next. We've got third item already completed for El Pafo, opting to finish out the Chempunk Chainsword instead of going for a different third item. I don't know how I feel about that. 40% anti-heal is 40% no matter how far into the item path you actually get, as long as you have the one. As Rhino eats a ton of damage. If the Between Worlds connected, it would have been a kill, but who needs Between Worlds when Paranoia will strike down your enemies from afar? Chill Savior backs up his mid laner.
80 carry just gonna go down again here, so just free pressure across the map now, shoving out in top and mid lane. So
Tango didn't want the hot chocolate. I'm insulted on behalf of all Bard players. That hurts to watch.
I mean, it wasn't warm enough.
It's the winter map. How do you not want your hot cocoa?
Yeah, well, you know, festive season is just temporary. So Tango says I'm here for summer, so we'll be waiting out for that one.
I don't like these hot drinks. I don't like the snow. Get me out of here. Get me to the warm months.
It is funny as they play Aurora too.
Yeah. All right. Objectives coming up. We've got Baron in 3.5 minutes alongside the Dragon. The spawns being pretty much right on top of each other. Gonna spell trouble later, but right now Dwami Poppy is the one in trouble. Cole's gonna pull that passive off, and then stunned into the wall, feared up, locked down. Blush is going to find that kill, and it's been Dwami Poppy this time around has been the target of so much attention from Syndicate, as opposed to last game where it really felt like El Pafo was the target.
Yeah, that's what the Darius allows, that extra max HP damage plus just the extra sustain that you're offered. It means it's a very easy time just chasing them down with the slow from the W, the slow from the Stride Breaker as well, just coming through. Aftermoon taking a big chunk of damage. Tango forced to be reckoned with now with that Edge Eyes at 18 stacks.
Yeah, Aurora's kind of fed. I think she's a little strong in this game.
Yeah, I mean, Fed Aurora versus Fed Mundo, I think I'd rather have the Aurora as well, so. You know, this is looking very good. They're going to find the engage on a 1-2-3 Cool Kitten.
Finds Cool Kitten, who's just not been able to play the game this game. Kraydog is the target. Decimate. Noxie and Guillotine takes him down. El Papo blasted forward. Finds 2. Finds 3. Knocks them all over. Wants to go for the Penta, but can't find it. Taken down by the autos of Rhino. Shut down over to the Yunara, who's transcended. Flashing forward, looking to continue the aggression. They want to keep this fight going. They know the health bars for Syndicate are low enough that they can play for it. Combo doesn't land from Tango, but the fear is going to land from Chill Savior, and that's going to spell the end of Akuma here in game number 2. In much more dominant fashion, Syndicate will set themselves to match point.
a solid game here. Besides the early blunders, it was pretty much Syndicate for most of that one, and they take game 2 in a commanding fashion. The Aurora Nocturne, Bard just coming in clutch there for Syndicate as they find everything they could ever ask for come mid-game.
Yeah, again, a couple of hiccups here and there in the early game, but the mid game felt so much more solidified for Syndicate. They were making the cross-map plays. They were able to pull the trigger. Even a comment that we said that was like, yeah, it's kind of missing engage. We don't really have like a guaranteed go button, but Panda on this Bard, the Tempered Fates, I don't think I saw one bad cast of it. There were casts where it didn't hit like the intended target, but still the right one to go for, still the right play to look for, forced good movement out of the opponent's side. That's just a great Bard game. And there were a couple of invisible members, I feel, from Akuma. I think especially 123 Cool Kitten on this Victor. I feel like we never saw them have a moment in a fight in lane phase in anything.
You know, I can't blame Victor. I really can't. You know, this is just one of those Victor games where your entire team, things are going wrong, and there's no saving it coming from a Victor. That's just how the champion is designed. You have an Aatrox that can't get off the ground because it's just too hard to find and engage when you're just fishing for, you know, QEs. You're fishing for them. And then, you know, you also have stuff like, you know, Braum and Mundo. It's just... You're working with scraps, and unless you're already ahead, which is kind of what I was talking about in draft, you have to kind of be ahead in these kinds of games to really find the success, and they just weren't. So it just went over to Syndicate.
Yeah, and now they're gonna have to lock the hell in. They are now sitting backs against the wall. They have to complete the full reverse sweep if they want to lock their ticket to finals and have a chance at an Akuma v Akuma finals. But right now, Syndicate's feeling like they're on a roll, and we're going to have to see if they finish this out and take us, and see if this game goes past game number 3, or if Syndicate are going to lock their tickets to finals when we get to the other side of this break. We'll see you there. Welcome back, everybody. We're getting ourselves ready for Game 3 draft between Syndicate, Reprise, and Akuma anti-tank weapons. But before we get there, like we always do, our producer throws 3 skins at us, and we have to decide who are we kissing, who are we marrying, and who are we killing. And there were some great choices this week. I don't think anybody could pick incorrectly, and I think actually all of us had different answers entirely. No, our producers actually agree with each other. Never mind.
I mean,
both of our producers hate Zeri for particular reasons. I can't. I think she's too cool.
Statistically, somebody had to, match up, but unfortunately, yeah, it was very different answers to start off here. Yeah, and I put Zeri as Mary. It rhymes. It makes a lot of sense. I don't know. I have no issues with this champion like other people do. I think she's just
certain
cool.
other people who will remain unnamed as you're not seeing them on screen currently. In case you're wondering, hey, I've never seen Winter Queen Ahri before. Where's that skin from? I believe, if I remember right, it's a Wild Rift exclusive skin. Our producer will have to. Which one is it? Is it
Legends of Runeterra?
Legends of Runeterra, the card game exclusive. I should have been able to tell from the art style. It is a very nice looking skin. It's one of those exclusives that's in the card game only. But again, I don't think there are any real bad choices here. I feel like having to kill one of these is just a shame, no matter who you pick.
Yeah, I only picked, Kiss for Ahri because I have a, you will die.
Yeah, that was my reason for picking kill Ahri, because I don't want to die.
Yeah, overexposure. I don't think you got it like Yasuo kind of thing. Whereas, yeah, I don't know. Karma, I didn't really have a reason. I looked at my mastery scores for Zeri and Ahri, and they were higher, unfortunately.
Well, I guess you could say the reason I'm marrying Karma then is she is one of my I think still top 3 support masteries right now. Top 3 masteries in general, I think. I love playing her. She's a lot of fun. Her lore is also really cool. I felt really bad that they did that to her in Ruination, and I'm glad that remains a minor bump in her story at the very least. But honestly, I think they've really done a nice job with the Winter Wonder skins in general. They've done a good job of keeping the...
Yeah, but they hate the skin line. They hate the skin. They're like,
I
hate... Ever since that one time they released Mundo Master Yi, and we're like, what the hell? Why didn't this sell well? What?
Okay, but now we have Zeri and Mel, which means that it's going to sell well this time, especially because Mel is
and the Smolder one is the best of the 3. Let's just be honest.
Look, the only issue I have with it was, why is it called Reindeer Smolder and not Smoldeer?
Because we don't do fun puns. There was, part of the appeal
They tried with Anniversary, and they couldn't figure out how to do it, so now they're just never doing a pun again.
Like, they could have done, train Orn. They don't have to say Orn. It's just like, that is what it is.
Train Corn Ductor?
Yeah. But, they just decided not to do anything.
Isn't she? Winter Blast. Yes, Winter Blast, not Winter Wonder, because they're totally separate skin lines that don't have anything
instead
to
we
do
got
with each
Melio, my favorite champion.
Melio skin is really cute though. The little seal, the round seals.
Like Melio. I'm
He's
sorry.
got the little round seals. They remind me of Spheal, one of my favorite Pokemon.
There are many other redeeming factors for every other champion. A seal is not going to save it for Melio for me. Unfortunately.
Maybe just because I play support, so I like these champions a little bit more. I cannot get over that. I love Melio. I think he's great. I wish they didn't uproot an entire world's or entire region's story and lore to get him in the game. But he's here.
Well, they do that from time to time. They do
occasionally a champion comes out and it's just like, hey, all of this lore we have about this region? Throw it all out the window. This is new stuff.
Yeah, have you heard of Arcane, by the way? Ezreal doesn't exist. Did you know?
Ezreal? Not real.
Yeah, that's a fake Piltover champion. What are you guys talking about?
I mean, he does spend a lot of time out of Piltover, so I guess it kind of makes sense that he wasn't there. But we're going to get into the draft here. Syndicate now back to the blue side. Akuma, after picking red side in game 2, or after picking blue side in game 2, are back to red side in game 3. And something's got to change for them. I don't really know what it is. I feel like Syndicate has just had them at every turn. Akuma has had good counter picks. They've had good ideas in draft. Game 2 draft, maybe we had a lot more questions for than game 1, but I think that's a draft that you can win with if you execute on it. They just didn't have it that game.
Yeah, they had the early lead, but I feel like it wasn't on the person they wanted the most, which is either Yunara or the Victor. Victor, I think getting picked out in that early game especially was a little bit rough for the tempo potential, because you do lose waves, and losing waves as Victor that sucks. We are seeing some different bans here, and Bessa was on the ban table before, but Zeri is new. Leaving
Zeri
open the Ashe for a Ashe first pick here makes a lot of sense.
Fiddlesticks ban. Taking that one away from Chill Savior. We are not going to get the Crow Storm. I do not have to say caw during
you don't have to say that even if Fiddlesticks was locked.
No, but I do. But I have to. You must understand. It's in my contract. I'm obligated to make caw noises.
Like how you have to say Gwungle, right?
Yes, and Ungle. Aatrox jungle. Ungle.
Well, either way, we're getting some pretty typical bot lane picks here. Misfortune. We got Leona, of course, as a nice response here. Always a good counter pick into Misfortune. You can always just click R immediately on the bullet time. And the Ashe, which you left open as a good response to MF, is immediately locked in as well.
I have to question this Misfortune first pick just because you didn't ban Ashe, so you knew it was going to be picked as a response. So you opt into a matchup that is good for Ashe.
Yeah, unless you're picking something like a Sylas here. I mean, like, Sylas would go crazy. Ashe, Leona, those are some good ultimates to take already. And then you kind of discourage a lot. Oh,
there it is!
Wow. Wow, look at me.
You predicted something! You did it!
Oh my god, look at me. Here we go. This is, of course, Masters 100 cap for anyone in the chat. So these are some serious games we have here. And we're going to be seeing a Kiana. I'm curious to see whether it'll be mid as a response into the Sylas, but it could always be back into the jungle, you know? Yeah.
Akuma, in the meantime, are going to ban out the top laners to keep that ambiguity on where that Kiana is going, so Malphite will go away. I have to imagine that probably Sion or Ornn will get banned away as well if they're planning on just banning away some of these tankier top laners. I don't know which one of the two you ban away. I thought for sure of those three that Malphite would probably be left up. They're instead going to ban away Pantheon, interestingly enough. So maybe that Malphite is more targeted towards the jungle pool instead of the top lane pool.
I mean, the question is, what is the top laner here? Because if Akuma locks in Ornn here, I mean, Sylas just has the perfect assortment of ultimates to take at this point. So
yeah,
it's definitely something you got to watch out for. But I do expect an AP jungler, and we will get one of the Taliyah if the Kiana is. I mean, now it's just Flex City. Depends on what they want for the team comp, but I could see it being Taliyah jungle. Especially since it did receive buffs a little bit ago, if I remember right. Psy on top. Here we go. Do they have a counter pick? Set's gone. Darius is gone. You already banned out, you know, Bessa. So there's not the best choices here, but we're gonna see Skarner reappearance.
Syndicate composition. Syndicate has said we want health bars, and then some more health bars on top of that.
I do like it though. Alistar with the Skarner, with the bullet time on top. You just have to be careful about the Leona. But we will be seeing a Zac top into the Sion. This is a classic counter pick for the tank top laner, since you do have just better sustain. So I kind of like the pull, honestly, and it gives you a little bit more AP damage if you aren't in, you know, very 100% trusting Cool Kitten to be able to survive the force of a Skarner Sylas, which is understandable. So honestly, I don't hate it. Yeah, and also there's no like big interrupts for the Zac to deal with. It's pretty much just the E from the Sylas that can really easily interrupt that.
This is a skill check now for Panda. Can you grab the Zac out of the air with either your headbutt or your pulverize? Because if you can, Dwami's going to be feeling absolutely awful. And if you can't, he's going to be feeling great. I will say, I like this Zac pick, I think specifically because Dwami's had Il Patho's number in a lot of these laning phases, so giving him a champion that can remain dominant and remain lane focused, but also still have utility in team fights, even if you aren't ending up super far ahead in mid game, like you may be mispositioned once or twice, you get caught out on side lane, Zac will still provide value. He'll still draw attention, because if you let him free form on the back line, he's going to provide a lot of CC, he's going to be interrupting things constantly. You can't let him alone with Misfortune, terrible things will happen. So I think this is a good pick for Dwami. It's just going to be a matter of how well can they actually make it work.
Yeah, and I don't think Dwami's had a bad series. Like, has won the lane 2 times in a row, just has had less impact than Bafo. by
It's
the
been
end
the
of it.
mid game that has been the fall off for Dwami. You have a great laning phase, but then you're mispositioning side lane, or you're not finding a perfect angle on your Renekton, so you're not as useful as your opposing laner, which means they end up outscaling you.
Yeah. And this is going to be an interesting lane here for Kraydog and Rhino, especially because they should have a little bit of prio here, but it's still not going to be an easy lane. Like, MF is a lane bully for a reason, and Alistar's great at just finding some extra free damage. Panda, nice angle there as the Q actually falls off for Kraydog, so no
Yeah, I was
potential
about to say,
re-engage.
nice timing there. Good that he doesn't get stunned, because if he does, that is probably a flash, or at the very least an exhaust expended. We are going to see level 2 here for the top lane first. El Pafo down under half. I also want to point out this is longsword start for the Scion. In a lot of trouble. Flash forward. One more auto flash is too late. Dwami finds first blood.
Yeah, and the trend continues. Dwami finds the early opening onto Ilpafo here, but Scion being Scion will be able to grab the wave, so it's not actually that big of a deal just having to commit the flash, but, you know, with Zach also committing the flash, it really isn't even that bad. Welcome to Scion Gaming.
Yeah, because it turns out if you have just a really good mobility spell in your kit, your flash matters quite a lot less, as opposed to the Scion, who is just going to have to, like, I'll steal something that one of my friends said recently. He's just going to have to trundle his way along, even though he's not playing trundle. You don't really have the mobility pre-6, so you are now vulnerable to a gank, and Aftermoon is looking for a place to start accelerating with both this first strike and to get some kills on this assassin jungler.
Yeah, still going through that first clear. Kiana has a notoriously kind of weird first clear that if you mess up once, you are off pace for basically the rest of the early game, and kind of seems like it, considering Skarner has finished the camps first. But, you know, we'll have to see how that actually pans out here. Definitely a very hard champion to pilot, which we were seeing even at a Worlds level prior, so really is on that execution here for Aftermoon. Nice interrupt here from Dwami. Continue to sustain that war that he
I will
is
say at the
currently
very
winning.
least, for El Pafo, being behind matters a lot less in this game as opposed to it did in the past 2 games. You're not playing a set, you're not playing a Darius the champion that is very feast or famine. You're playing Scion. If you get put behind, you're still Scion at the end of the day. You're going to be okay.
Yeah, Kraydog barely gets the freeze here on this wave, so
Really nice
actually
hold.
pretty good. Yeah, for the experience here for Rhino, should be able to grab up that full wave, besides a couple of casters that get left behind, so nothing too special. Skarner now on the map again, has the Giant's Belt, so we could potentially be seeing a
I never noticed that. Oh my
a
god.
steal. What, a heart steal? Yeah, man, why is that escaping me? It's not even that late.
I got so distracted by the little Poro that was flying up there in the upper left. I had not seen him flying on his little cart with the sleigh. Oh, that's so... Anyway, El Pafo doing a bit of damage here to Dwami. Now back in lane, thanks to the extra health, is going to be feeling a lot better in certain trades. And now, especially with Chill Savior in the area, they could, well, they could force the passive out of Dwami, I guess. I don't know if they have the damage to actually kill the Zac is the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of AoE damage from the Skarner in particular, but I'm not sure if that's enough. It's interesting to see Rejuve Bead on the Scion here. Kind of a throwback to, like, Dark Seal Rejuve Bead corrupting potion from back in the day.
Oh my god. But I think this is specifically because it does build into the heart steal, as passive's going to be popped. Pafo will get at least one of these. If the Q comes up in time, it's going to be a lot of damage. Full decimating smash charged up. W auto pops the Soul Forge. Killed back for El Pafo.
Yeah, you may not be able to CC the blobs, but the CC on the actual Zac on the respawn definitely going to come through, and that's a free solo kill back over for Ipafo, and he's going to get the shove on this wave as well, and that is so much, you know, XP and minions that Dwami's just not going to have access to, since he died on a fully stacked wave.
And we can finally see it on a relevant champion. Solo Bolo on the Scion, but now speaking of soloed out, Chill Savior doesn't have any friends nearby, and Kraydog will steal that last hit from his friends. Tango in a little bit of trouble, has the Abscond Abduct, will dash through with the Kingslayer, manages to stay alive, and hang on to that Solar Flare, a dangerous spell for a Sylas to have if they want to do anything with it.
Yeah, we are seeing, you know, if right there, if Aftermoon is on that level 6 definitely would have just immediately went onto Silas, and that's probably a double kill over towards that side for Akuma, but does not actually come true in that way. Seeing a lot of brawling here in the top lane, which makes a lot of
They're just going to
sense.
be hitting each other. They are just going to continuously be hitting each other because they both have technically infinite health. They don't care.
Yeah, especially after the Heartsteel has come through, it's just going to be more and more of this. We're going to see Scion top damage with the Zac on the other side. I'm curious to see what we'll see a burn item from the Zac. That is always an option you could go for.
I mean, the currently items did get kind of nerfed. Unstoppable Onslaught, actually. Popping the Let's Bounce. Tango's in the area, has the Solar Flare as well. Dwami has to be careful. Stun's gonna land. Do they have the damage to finish off this Zac before the Elastic Slingshot comes through? Yes, they do, in spades. Hilpapa finds their second kill.
Yeah. Now Blush.
Uh-oh. Panda is going to get the combo back in, but it's not level 6, so Rhino's just going to finish that one off, and Cool Kitten's in the area. Assist not even given over, but Feat of Warfare over to Akuma.
Yeah, nice find there by Cray and Rhino. Able to find the opening there on Panda, who just wasn't expecting it. Since Rhino ticked over level 6 a little bit early, since Kraydog held that wave and gave solo XP over to Rhino. So, yep, there you go.
Hold your way for your 80 carries. You just got to make sure they get as much golden XP as possible. Baby them every step of the way. Literally every step of the way.
Yeah, definitely something a little bit more unexpected for them, and finds them a free kill on the bot side. Tango definitely should have, honestly, a really easy time in this game. There isn't really anything that's too terrible to deal with in this one, since there's no immediate CC on a tank, and Talia E you can definitely work around as the Silas. So
yeah, there's also plenty of good ultimates to take. I think everything except the Weaver's Wall, and even that has like sometimes use in the mobility of it. You guys gonna find a combo down on the Cool Kitten, flashing in. No! Fails the headbutt pulls! Panda, you were doing so well! It doesn't matter because Tinko's got flash and we'll finish it off.
no.
After a barred performance for the ages, does that in game 3? Oh, that's painful to watch.
I think the last frame of the E there from the Talia was still up, so just got stunned when the W came through. Just a little bit unfortunate on the timing.
If that is the case, if I get a message from Panda later saying, hey, you're shaming my legacy, I'll take the L on that, but it 100% looked like you just goofed the combo.
I mean, he was stunned, I thought. It looked like he was stunned, at least, in my third eye, I guess. We'll see if that ends up being true.
Blush.
Roll the tapes.
A little too far forward. Panda's now in the area. Cleanse used by the Misfortune. Blush just trying to communicate out. But there comes Rhino flashing over Panda to make sure that the Achino Cristero lands. Tango's going to die in the mid lane. A nice impale by Chill Savior, but do they have the damage to finish anybody off? Rhino still staying alive with a combo from Panda will finally take him down. Kraydog should just be able to walk out of here. Yeah, we'll walk away to Leona, just a little too tanky. Messy exchanges, but it ends up being 2 for 1 in favor of Akuma.
Yeah, it just keeps going back and forth here. 4 to 5. It's always been 1 kill up here for Akuma. And now El Pafo.
Combo in from Aftermoon, but the flash into the Unstoppable Onslaught. Cowards! He yells as he runs away.
That is a classic here, as we do get a replay here on this mid lane here as Tango went down.
Just too far forward.
Yeah, just gets taken down immediately, and that is an
unfortunate. Did we have to do that to him? Did we have to?
I mean, every replay, I feel like we have to zoom in on whoever dies. That's just kind of replay etiquette.
Doing him dirty, and I don't think he even deserved it there. Just a little bit of greed.
Greed has been a thing in this series. Rhino now walking a little bit far forward, but Chill Savior.
The Bloodthirster first tier from Blush. I'm surprised to not see Essence Reaver, but I think those two items are kind of interchangeable as first items. And if you're eating more poke, the Bloodthirster is good. If you're taking longer trades, Essence Reaver is also fine. They're both just good on Misfortune. You go one of those two items first, and you're having a happy time.
I think the Bloodthirster is just to survive, potentially survive a Kiana burst. I know it's usually 100 to 0, but if something goes wrong, maybe you live. Blush now.
In. Nice cancel out from Panda. Keeps the Zenith away from his 80 carry, and Panda, with the unbreakable will take the L. 07's in the chat. Panda doing the support's job well, keeping the 80 carry alive.
Yeah, a little bit of a sacrifice, but we're seeing the impact of a Kiana Talia. It is so much pressure across the map, just the extra movement you get from river or walls, and plus the Weaver's Wall, of course. So just a very good 1-2 combo to deal with. Well, this
Is it
is.
big?
I'm not even gonna comment on it until someone dies. You know, there
Until
just
I see
is no
someone
point.
under a quarter HP, I'm not commentating a single thing that happens. This is just meatballs beating on each other. But mid lane, though, Tango pressuring into mid. Redemption's down thanks to the help from Panda, but the Ignite was already on, and Tango's already taken down. Greydog and Cool Kid in a nice seismic shove will get Chill Savior locked up. Stun comes through from the supreme display of talent. Combo in from Panda, but do they have the damage? Yeah, they do. They find Greydog. Nice exhaust on a Cool Kitten to keep that burst damage down. Chill Savior walks out.
Oh.
Now the top laner under a quarter HP. Pafo taken super low. One more grasp auto knocks him over. Somehow Dwami finds the solo kill onto El Pafo. How the hell did that happen?
You know, when a tank solo kills a tank, it's always somebody handshaking that,
Somebody
we're
messed
just
up.
going to the death. Yeah. You know,
Somebody
this is
messed
how it's
up.
going. But this is going very well here for Akuma now. 1 at 0.5k gold up. At this point, they're finding picks in mid. They're getting the solo kill on the top side to kind of equalize some of that early pressure here. And yeah, the team fights, I don't know. It's going to be kind of difficult. We talked about how Solar Flare is going to be pretty hard for this MF to navigate around. They built a lot of their composition around the bullet time, so it's going to be really up to Blush to position well and maybe find an opening onto Kraydog before a fight starts to really find full use out of that ability.
Yeah, we've seen Syndicate in these positions before in this series. As I drop something onto my desk, don't worry about that. Dwami gets the recall interrupted by El Pafo, trying to cancel out as much of that healing as possible. But now with Aftermath in the area, just forced to run away.
Yeah. Kiana is just doing so much work across the map. You know, hasn't really found too much success as far as ultimates or big combos or anything like that. But, you know, just being a pest, you know, just hitting River Q over and over is definitely going to be a nice setup that Akuma felt like it has been lacking throughout the series. It's just something to just, we kick off the fight here, let's go. So Leona plus Kiana makes a lot of sense here.
Yeah, there is so much non-committal engage from Akuma. If it lands, they can go, and there it lands on top of Blush, but with the cleanse there,
no.
Panda now is gonna push Cool Kitten under the turret! Outplayed, outsmarted, and now Aftermath in the same spot, flash out, the turret shot ramped up though, Panda with the Ignite will find the last hit, slow lands from the Solar Flare, Panda sealing all the kills, a double to the Alistar! You take that gold, you earned it, Panda!
This is so similar to last week with, you know, Bard getting a lot of kills and then now Alistar as well, but this was a disaster here for Akuma. I was just talking about how, oh, it's looking kind of different. You made me hold my words. You said, hey, this is how it's gone the last couple games, and I mean, the trend is continuing so far. Now up 1,000 gold here for Syndicate, and they're going to be able to push that even further with this mid lane turret. Man,
Yeah,
that opens up the map so much for an Alistar Sylas composition too.
Yeah, and with the Skarner as well, who loves just running through the walls and making life difficult for these more immobile members of Akuma, the Talia and the Ashe especially. Kraydog looking for a potential angle in. TP in from Dwami. They're gonna look to fight this dragon. Smite comes through, Tango's the target, but he's got the flash and the dash over the wall. He'll be able to escape for now, but now Dwami's on top of him. Bullet time comes through. The stun doesn't land from Kraydog, but the talent will. Kraydog survives with a sliver of HP. Can Syndicate navigate their way out of this fight? Chill Savior's into the backline looking to just sacrifice for the team. Now the rest of Syndicate are on the run. How much more exit frags can Akuma pick up? El Pafo is their potential target. But that bottom lane turret's full HP. If he makes it there, he's just out. Flashes into the redemption just to make sure he stays alive. Seismic shoves through. The CC's there. They will finally knock him over. So they'll get one more, but the dragon still goes over to Syndicate.
Yeah. Getting the dragon there was the real prize, but they're going for the dive again. Panda full mana here.
Out, manages to get away from the arrow and the elastic slingshot, but Blush has no mana. Can they follow up? Panda gets a nice knock-up. One more auto on to Dwami will pick him up. Inside the passive goes the Zac. Can they manage to finish him off? It's Shitter Crystal Arrow! Tango! Triple kill for the Sylas!
The fade away on the Ashe Enchanted Crystal Arrow there to find the third kill, and Tango gets a nice payday on the backside of the fight. So they get the Drake, and they find a bunch of kills on the backside just from a little bit of an overcommit there. I don't know. It feels desperate. You see an Alistar full HP. There is no way you're getting away with that for free.
Yeah, they knew somebody was dying for that. I think they were like, oh, if we lose the passive and lose Dwami, that's probably an okay trade. Okay, he dies. Okay, Kraydog is also gonna die. Oh god, we've lost 3. Oh no, it's a disaster. I can imagine is the thought process going through their head. And that felt very much like, I think you said, like a desperation play. Like, okay, we're starting to lose our grip on this game. We had a lead, we've lost it. We need to get it back. And now, suddenly, they're out of the driver's seat entirely and are on the back foot like we've seen so often in this series. And they have to find their way back in.
Yeah, they kind of dug their grave there. Okay, we found the picks, but you know, let's go a little bit further. And you know, because they get kills on the bot side, guess who has time to just do some nice pushing on the top side for Pafo and just grab up another turret and a Rift Herald. So that's, you know, Rift Herald's always just like a little bit of a down payment on investment. You'll get the payment back later.
Lush has the cleanse, is going to be forced to use it early. Doesn't even pop it at all. Just taken down by the CC combo. Panda has the Unbreakable Will on, but will eventually be chopped down after time. Shutdown goes over to Cool Kitten with all those kills that the Alistar stole. Pafo guarding Dwami, making sure that the Zac can't come in for a flank angle on this, but Syndicate already lost plenty on the play. Now it's just a matter of what can Akuma get back now that they've got 1,000 gold lead.
Yeah, Akuma finds it. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we were talking about. They should have good priority when it comes to these fights. If they're able to find a nice engage, it should be great for them. Gonna cancel that recall from Leona. You know, this isn't the longest cooldown anymore now with Tengo over level 11. Just interrupting. Oh, he's gonna do it again. Yep. Silas just
Not
doing
again,
Silas things.
Oh, that's... Kraydog, I feel your pain. I understand exactly how that feels. I will say, the other important part of the Silas cooldown not only is your own ultimate, but is the ultimate that you're stealing. So the fact that Kraydog is not level 11 yet means that Solar Flare is still going to be on kind of a hefty cooldown as Dwami, potentially in trouble, has the Let's Bounce, is going to start navigating his way out. Flash still available, but not even going to burn it. It's just saying, hey, if you're going to burn the flashes for me, that's fine. I'll take the L. I'll die out here. But what is your team getting on the other side of the map? They're not getting anything. They're losing a turret.
Yeah, the Allistic Slingshot getting canceled probably is all that really mattered in that one. And yeah, they're losing some turrets. They're losing some gold here as well. Rift Herald's still available here for the Skarner, so they're just gonna pop it on the top side and get a tier 2 for free. There is no one here.
Kraydog is in the area, but now is potentially in trouble. Panda's gonna look for the blast code, but the Zenith Blade will get Kraydog out just far enough. Looking to try and get a charge in on this tier 3. Crystal Arrow will find Tango. He gets the dash off with the rocket belt, and now the team can come in to save him. Chill Savior living up to his name, keeping Kraydog out. Tango sidesteps this free display of talent. A nice two-man pulverize from Panda, but Chill Savior will die in the exchange. Now Panda on the run, has the flash, has the cleanse, should be able to get out of here just fine. Cool Kitten looking to continue the chase, or at the very least move back mid with that Weaver's Wall, but doesn't find a ton of other value with it. So you lose one member, you lose the Rift Herald, you get top tier 2. It's not an awful trade.
Yeah, not the worst. No resources there for Tango to actually leverage, but a nice dodge away there into a interrupt by Panda just keeps the members alive here for Syndicate, and they don't really get punished despite going a little bit too far forward. Sion also pushed out one extra wave by proxying on the bot side, so it has a nice recall timer to be able to come back here. They need to burst down this dragon.
Yeah, they gotta go quick. They have the damage. Can they manage to finish it off? Aftermoon just putting all the burst into it. Here comes the engage. Knocked out of the sky is Dwami, but he catches the unstoppable onslaught. Dragon has gone down to Akuma, but Kraydog on the backline. Solar Flare doesn't find a stun, but the slow and the damage is enough, and the bullet time is going to knock them down. Dwami now under a quarter HP on the run. Rhino forced to flash out. Blush flashing forward. A double kill already for the Misfortune. Looking for a little bit more of the auto sent to Dwami, but he's very tanky. Panda with another two-man combo. He will die, but his team will succeed. Blush now on a killing spree. Tango finds another, and Syndicate continue to roll over Akuma.
Yeah, they don't find the dragon here, but they find the fight to push the game even further. Another turret going their way. The gold is close, but it hasn't felt that close indeed. Tango just really showing it. You know, this is what you gave me with that R1, R2. Ash, Leona, just maybe some of the best ultimates you could have potentially grabbed there. Kraydog barely wide there, just trying to do some intimidation tactics. I don't even know if you would have wanted that Zenith Blade.
I can't believe that Zenith Blade didn't land, and I can't believe he went for it. That was wild.
Yeah, Tango just turns around. Hey, that's a free lunch with a dinner potentially.
I do want to say, Panda has been having an incredible series here. Game 1 maybe a little bit less so, but Game 2 on that Bard and now Game 3 on this Alistar. He's just finding immaculate combos for the team to be able to thrive in. It's just beautiful stuff.
Oh, and the Weaver's Wall committed, trying to look for a pick on a Tango, but Silas a little bit too slippery, and they don't find the opening there. So that's one of your 2 movement abilities from the Talia taken off the table. Still has that TP to actually find something, but not exactly what you want to find.
Scary to walk
Ilpafo.
into the fog. Decimating Smash barely doesn't hit Kratos, but they're going to go for him anyway. Leona not super tanky, has the Aftershock on, so will be tanky for a little while longer, but they don't have the damage. They don't want to engage too hard onto just the Leona, so they will just walk away from the play.
Man, that was extremely close.
That was
if Pavo has half
centimeters.
Yeah, if Pavo has like a quarter of a second longer on that charge, that is a dead Leona 100%. So lucky to skate away from that one. Kill score even, 16-16, but a 3K gold lead for Syndicate here.
The 5 hurts to 1, and the Rift Herald going over when Akuma hasn't been able to find it. Otacon not even started up yet, but now Syndicate are looking for it, and yeah, you got the dragon, yeah, you managed to navigate your way out of the fight afterwards, but what else can you get for Akuma? You have to stop this Otacon, surely.
Yeah, they've kind of given Otacon all 3 games of this series. They kind of looked like they wanted it in the last one, but didn't come through. Blush has the cleanse to get away.
Yeah, forced to lose cleanse. Nice timing there.
Away now. We have a flank here, Panda.
Yeah, Panda in
little
with
deep.
the 2-man Polarized Wombo combo. Rhino taking plenty of damage. Tango looking for some backline access. Kratos on the backline on his own, but no team there to support him. Shinnecoaster arrow from Tango will not land, but all Aftermoon, the one in trouble. A nice little combo there. They've got Panda under a quarter HP, but he's unbreakable in his will. Tango goes dominating, and now the bullet time can come through, uninterruptible by Blush. Rhino forced to run on the backline. The Impale just used on the poor Ash. Jill Xavier finds the kill. A clean ace for Syndicate, and they're going to run it down mid.
Nah, Tango's too clean there. Finds the E away onto the near dead Aftermoon and just takes his head off. Just what a good performance here on the Sylas. Gets the early advantage and is just really kind of, oh, this is a free game for Sylas, so ends up taking it well, and they're gonna grab the Otacon here after grabbing that final outer turret. This is looking great here for Syndicate, and it's looking like they all but assured that they're gonna go to that finals, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, still plenty of game left to be played. 6,000 is the gold lead for Syndicate. They've now got the Otacon in their hands. Baron spawning in just about a minute. Dragon in a minute as well. It's going to be a matter of which objective do these teams prioritize more.
Yeah, I think their only real out here for Akuma is a massive ultimate from a Kiana. That is generally just going to be the win con here. If you can find a 5-man and really stack on the damage, that'll be your big window to find some success. But that's not the easiest thing to do. You have a lot of members going around, and you also got some really beefy tanks that you gotta cut through anyways. So without seeing something like a Runin's on the Ashe, it's just you're not pumping out enough AoE damage for that.
Kratos on his own again. Chains don't land from a Tango, but Panda lands the stun. Kratos already taken down to half. Cool Kitten forced to expend the wall just to keep your support alive. Tango trying to combo down onto the Talia, but doesn't find too much. Dwami on the backline now, looking for some damage onto Blush, but this is a misfortune with Bloodthirster. Your base damage does not matter anymore. He will be knocked down. Blush now dominating. Rhino does not have the resources, does not have the damage to finish off the tank scorner, and the decimating smash onto the back line, forces Rhino to flash out, but Opapa has one in response. Down goes Aftermoon, down will go Kratos. Cool Kitten on the run, looking for just anything to get on the back half of this. Abscond of Duck lands him after the flash. One more slap of the chains. Tango goes golden, another clean ace for Syndicate, and it's looking like they're gonna lock their ticket for finals.
Yeah, they've definitely outperformed in this one. Ilpafo just really finding Rhino with the help of that solar flare from Sylas to start off the fight, and that 80 carry that is so vulnerable, that needs to stay alive to chunk through these tanks, just goes down immediately. And despite Aftermoon's best efforts with that ultimate to find a couple, the exhaust is very well timed, and it's not going to mean much left. Bullet time comes through. They want their consolation prize. 3-0 for Syndicate.
Pat the stats a little bit at the end. Pat yourself on the back. You've earned a trip to finals next week in dominating fashion. It's not very often that we truly see first seed versus fourth seed, not only in semifinals in general, because we don't normally see 1, 2, 3, and 4, but you don't normally see the first seed dominating this hard over the 4th seed. This was, after game 1, which was a very bloody back and forth, it felt like it was Syndicate kind of getting their footing in the series, getting an understanding for their opponent. After game 1, it just felt like Syndicate really just had their hands on 10-2 on the wheel the entire time, and they were not letting go.
Yeah, I think it really comes down to just not finding the early game success. Besides in the top lane, it pretty much was just, okay, Dwami has found some success in the top lane early on. We have our window to do something. But then it doesn't really translate across the map, it felt like, in any of those games for Akuma. So, unfortunately for them, they can find some early leads, but it really didn't translate throughout the rest of the map and really translate into any victories here. And Syndicate showed if you don't punish them hard enough, they're willing to take these fights, which look kind of sketchy, and just kind of come out ahead each and every time. And honestly, the biggest thing I took away from the series is their map movements are extremely clean.
Yeah.
And they have a really good supportive core of Chill and Panda to go with, Blush and Tango as your main 2 carries.
Yeah. And for the other side of the bracket, for Legacy Esports 9 and Akuma Sabres, this is the team that you're going to be playing against. This series is a great example of both what they do well and what they punish well on their opponents. So that's a big deal in terms of the VODs that you can study and the types of matchups that you can expect coming into next week. But speaking of next week, GG, unfortunately, I've heard you're not going to be with us next week. You're going to be out of town with family, doing your own thing. So I want to give you a big thanks for all the work that you've done this split. We appreciate you being here as our considerable color caster this whole time. You've done an amazing job, and I'll be happy, hopefully, to see you next split as well. But this is your big goodbye week. Do you have anything to say to the audience before you go?
I appreciate everyone who's, been supporting me throughout this broadcast. We got Golden, we got Loki, we got, of course, Brittany. What a wonderful co-caster you've been throughout this entire split, and occasionally Chris will come in. That's exactly one time in my history, so shout out to Chris for that one time.
Chris, you're
I
good.
also just appreciate everyone for tuning in for all these casts. This is really my big tie to league still, so I really do always love doing it. And Vanquisher, the best league around right now.
100%. No
I
bias.
I had to go through Divinity like twice. Oh God, no I'm kidding. Jokes, 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 jokes. Either way, I'm sure they're having a great finals. I think it's tomorrow, right? I'm not
I
sure,
think
but either
so,
way,
yeah.
make sure you guys tune in for the finals. Everyone has kind of worked up towards these matches this week and for the Vanquisher finals next week. I'm sure I'll have a wonderful replacement. So appreciate everyone and happy holidays.
We'll find someone who can do it, hopefully about as half as well as you, and we'll still have a great cast. But that is going to be it for us tonight. I want to thank you all so much for joining us. I've been Brittany. That's been GG, our producer and observer, Loki, Golden, and Loki, making sure things run as smoothly as possible in the background. Again, we appreciate you all being here, and we'll see you next week for finals time here in Vanquisher. Have a good night.